It's time for Twig This Week in Google. A big show today. In fact, this is the show that everybody wanted to be on. Mike Yelgin, Matthew Ingram, and Jeff Jarvis. What does alphabet mean to Google? We'll figure it all out next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, episode 313, recorded Wednesday, August 12th, 2015. The Alphabet. This Week in Google is brought to you by Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price, because everyone deserves a great night's sleep. Get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/twig and entering the promo code TWIG. And by lynda.com, the online learning platform with over 3,000 on-demand video courses to help you strengthen your business, technology, and creative skills. For a free 10-day trial, visit lynda.com/twig. That's lynda.com/twig. And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/twig. It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Oh, are we going to have a fun show today? Mike Elgin's sitting in. It's nice to have you. You brought some dopey Chrome thing.
It's just plain large.
Just
Leo.
plain
it's very
big.
large. This is an Acer Chrome base Touch, $430, and it's just enormous.
Price is right, though.
It's great. You know, it's a big screen. It's a touch screen, 10 points of touch, and it's cheap. And it's a Chromebook, basically. And
you're reviewing it for before you buy?
I did do, and gave it a buy because the price is so good, and the fact that
how are these speakers, or is that grill at the bottom just?
Those are speakers, and they sound terrible.
Oh, too bad.
So that was a con.
It's kind of a show-offy thing to put that grill down there. Like maybe you have stereo speakers.
They look like great speakers, if that's worth anything.
Right. Also with us from the lake, I'm so jealous, Matthew Ingram. Formerly of GigaOM, now of Fortune.com, and celebrating his anniversary with his lovely wife. You two were so young.
Yeah, we got married in elementary school.
You were. Is that on Facebook or Instagram? I'm seeing that. I can't remember, but
probably both.
Yeah,
could have been both.
Just great pictures. Congratulations, and I'm jealous. We're all jealous of your lake house there. Looks so pleasant.
I'll take a paddle for you.
Yeah. Have the black flies started yet?
No, they're gone.
Damn.
Yep.
Trying to find some negative.
It's got to be something. Yeah.
Something wrong with it. It's so beautiful.
It's too hot yesterday.
Oh, shut up. Way hot.
Too bad there isn't a lake there.
Yeah, it's a shame there's no body of water in which to cool yourself. And Jeff Jarvis is here. We're so thrilled. Jeff has been champing at the bit for... When was the alphabet announcement?
We have our new theme song.
We do? Record that. Print it.
We're done. We've recorded
done.
it.
Jeff is, of course,
probably a rights issue.
Copyright infringement.
You know,
recognize it.
His 65th birthday was yesterday, and we're waiting for a major court decision that will finally free Happy Birthday, because Warner Chappell Music has been charging people rights, thousands of dollars in some cases, for the right to play the song Happy Birthday.
What a racket.
But there's a smoking gun they had somewhere in the back office there at Warner Chappell, a printed version of Happy Birthday without a copyright announcement. I guess in the 30s, if you did that, you ceded, this seems like a real loophole, you ceded copyright. It made the thing not copyrighted, public domain. And we're waiting for the court to rule on that. But I'm hoping that it will happen during the new screensavers on Saturday. We're going to be discussing it, and we could maybe sing Happy Birthday finally to Waz, unencumbered.
If that's your birthday, you want to be here.
Yeah.
Because everybody will sing to you.
Too.
Warner's been making like $3 million a year from that.
That's crazy.
It's hideous.
Shouldn't have had it in the first.
It was a song written in the 1800s, but then the two kindergarten teachers who wrote the lyrics. I think they changed it post 1927. And of course, anything that's copyright post 1927 is copyright forever, thanks to Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, it originally was something for kids, and they just wrote they didn't even write the music.
Right.
No, the music already existed, and there were a bunch of different lyrics.
And anyway. So Jeffrey, let's kick it off. We're going to have to talk about Alphabet at some point. Let's start the show with Alphabet.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of it.
A, B, C, X, Y, Z. That's the page, because Google forgot to get alphabet.com.
No, it's
or they didn't care.
abc.wtf.
Well, I guess that's one question. Will anybody ever go to alphabet.com? Because it isn't really a destination. Who cares?
Now,
Right.
my question, my related question is, will there be Alphabet swag? Because I want it.
Yeah.
So we'll let you kick things off, Jeff, because you wrote a good piece at buzzmachine.com. I know you've been thinking hard about this. What the hell?
You know, in the second day, we've seen lots of people trying to find some cynical motive, which I find ridiculous because Larry Page is, I think, the least cynical CEO I can imagine. I think it is what they say it is. This allows Larry Page and Sergey Brin to rise up to the strategic stratosphere. It allows them to do crazy things without affecting directly the business of Google, apart from taking Google's revenue to pay for it. It provides more transparency to Wall Street about what's being spent on what, and we'll see how exactly that plays itself out. It allows them to put Sundar Pichai, who's done brilliant work, in full charge of the business.
And the many Sundar Pichais. There are many people that can be more easily retained through this move.
Look at Nest, look at other places. Yeah. And, you know, the thing about it is, you know, but the anecdote I told is, and I don't know if I told this on the show before, but when I think I did, when I met Larry at I.O., by way of introduction, I said, I'm the guy who wrote the book, What Would Google Do? And he said, oh yes, I remember. And then he said, what would Google do? I want to know.
Tell me what.
And, you know, so it makes a punchline to this story, but I think that the point is that Larry Page doesn't know what Google will do. That's exactly the point, is that even he will be surprised. They're looking for big problems and big solutions and moonshots and all that kind of stuff. And there's been efforts also to make analogs here to call this Berkshire Hathaway, but that's not.
It's not even close.
As brilliant as Buffett is, he doesn't invent things. I'll call it close to the old AT&T Bell Labs, but it's not that either. That was pure science, pure research. Amazing things happened because there was that freedom to do that and the monopoly to support it. But I think that in this case, this is about invention and entrepreneurship at its purest form and the ability to go and try big things. And that's why I'm delighted with this. The final point to make is the question about what impact this will have on dear old Europe and its regulators from the old world. And one argument says that this will make it better because part of the problem Google gets into is when it shares stuff across divisions. But the truth is that everything that they've gotten in trouble for sharing across is still in Google Inc. And I'm afraid that I guarantee you we'll see, just we saw the cover of Der Spiegel a few months ago about the world government of Silicon Valley. This will probably, I guarantee you, it'll get cited as, see, Larry Page wants to take over the world and do all these huge things. Yeah, he does, and damn good for it. And that's what we should be supporting. That's what capitalism is for. So I don't think Europe's problems will go away at all for this. I don't think there's some gigantic secret agenda to this. I think it's what it appears to be, which is freedom to innovate.
You take the post that Larry put at abc.xyz at face value. It's exactly as he said it is.
Yeah, I don't see, because why else do this?
Right.
There's a lot of efforts to say. It's funny how many posts, if you look, I just started a new column minutes ago for the Observer in New York on media, and I wrote about how we all write the same story over and over and over again, and how I hate that. Yeah. How many blue moon stories we have? Well, in this case, how many times did I see the headline, "Why Google did this?" As if everybody knows exactly why Google did this. Well, Google said why Google did this, and you can believe them or not. But yeah, I think, if Comcast did something like this, if Verizon did something like this, if companies like that did something, would I be cynical or at least skeptical, better put, of their motives? Yeah, but I don't think we've had the cause to be skeptical and cynical about Larry Page. I think that he's trying to do good things and make good products and, yeah, make a lot of money along the way. And so far, that's what he's done. And the crazy stuff who else would have the audacity to say, let's save thousands of lives on the roads by inventing self-driving cars, and the entrepreneurial vision and technological vision to make it into a business. That's the kind of audacity that made this country great, damn it, not Donald Trump's hat. And that's what we want to encourage.
You agree, Matthew?
Well, I mean, sure. I mean, I don't see any ulterior motive. I don't see I don't see it being some vast evil plan. But I must admit, I do wonder whether there aren't a bunch of different motives. I mean, obviously freeing Larry and Sergey up to do whatever they want is one of those motives, to get them away from the sort of humdrum day-to-day Google, which churns out all the cash, but has become quite boring. But I wonder if some of it isn't a little bit of, not sleight of hand, but a little bit of a shell game to try and keep the regulators' eyes off what, is happening with Google, or to keep Google part of this.
How does that happen, Matthew?
You'd have to be pretty dumb to be fooled. Oh, it's Alphabet now. Never mind.
Play that, Matthew.
We are talking about EU regulators.
Trying to figure it out. Play it through for me about how this puts fences around things in a way. And I'm not asking this in a hostile way. I'm curious to try to figure out that obviously that's a factor in what Google does right now, is to try to have that. So they don't want to do anything that's going to make it worse. How do you think it could make it better for the regulation question?
I don't think it necessarily puts fences around things, but when you think about the public entity, the traded one, the one that has to report its results, is going to be Alphabet now, not Google. So to some extent, and I'm not saying they're going to confuse things deliberately or in an illegal way, or I'm just saying it takes the focus off Google to some extent and puts it on this other thing called Alphabet, which is going to have multiple different things doing multiple different, businesses and markets and business models, and there's going to be things flowing back and forth, none of which Alphabet will have to talk about it if it doesn't want to. It won't have to report anything that those underlying operating subsidiaries do if it doesn't want to, right? Including Google. So Google was the reporting entity before. Do you see what I mean? Whereas now Alphabet's going to be.
But when it comes to the activities of, let's say, privacy, my contention is that Google is a personal services company, and as a result, it needs to know me as a person and serve me across all its divisions. So it serves me still across the browser and Android and Gmail and Docs and so on and so forth, and Maps and Waze and so on and so forth. So all that's where they've gotten in trouble lately, in the one sense. Right. The other way they've gotten in trouble, that's on the privacy. The other way they've gotten in trouble in Europe in the current antitrust is they promote their own products. Right. Well, they're still going to promote Maps within Chrome and within search. And it doesn't matter whether they promote self-driving cars and sell you that or not. Fine, they'll buy ads for that, whatever. That'll make a corporate exchange. So I think that the areas where they've gotten in trouble in Europe, and let's be clear that's mainly in Europe, it's still the case within Google, and it's not about financial reporting. It's about behavior, is what they'd say in Europe, I think.
But I'm also thinking they're probably thinking about the future. They're not just thinking about the things they've gotten into trouble for already. In fact, many of those things have become irrelevant or are becoming irrelevant. I think they're thinking about what they may do in the future, which includes acquiring other companies, Twitter, whatever,
yes.
And they will become presumably operating units of Alphabet, and then they can do whatever they want within those operating units. Do you know what I mean? They can not. I'm not just talking about the sort of public-facing promotional aspect that they've gotten into trouble for. I'm talking about the actual structural aspect of the company itself and the things it owns and the things that those businesses do between each other.
By the way, I was on Bloomberg about this yesterday, and the other guy who was on the show said that the price jump that came from this announcement itself was just enough to buy Twitter.
It was, yeah.
And the market loves it.
Yeah.
It went up 5% in an hour. That's enough to buy Twitter. That's $20 billion.
Yeah.
And which is odd in a way because, Wall Street typically hates holding companies. It hates giant things that you can't make sense of.
But the argument is there'll be more transparency here.
Because they'll have to report results for these other divisions.
Will
right?
they? Yeah. They won't, though.
But you're saying it's the same.
They'll be expected to. They'll be expected to.
Well, they've said they will. They don't have to. In fact, they could say, hey, Alphabet's doing great. Here's all our operating units. Google made this much. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah,
they don't provide any detail.
Really, is that the case? I mean, isn't the Google stock is being transferred to Alphabet stock? So if you're a stockholder, don't they have the same responsibility now to report Alphabet results that they had for Google results?
Yeah, well, the point Matthew's point is exactly right. They don't have to say, just as Google never had to say exactly what YouTube was making.
They could say Alphabet as a whole.
Yes.
That's all they have to report.
Okay.
But the arguments I've heard all around is there'll be more transparency rather than less, that there will indeed be transparency.
There could be. And it also, I mean, one of the benefits I can see is this structure makes it a lot easier to say in the future, spin off or spin out part of YouTube, for example, spin off or spin out part of Nest. Take that.
Which is a danger, don't you think, Matthew? If Europe starts to think about saying, let's break up Google because it's too big, which we hear all the time, then does this beg that question?
Mike Elgin, you haven't had a chance to weigh in. Let's let Mike tell us what he thinks, and then I'm going to tell you how you're all wrong. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, this is a groundbreaking move because I believe that Alphabet right now has 3 employees, and their valuation is
Larry, Sergey, and
Porat,
Ruth the
Porat,
CFO.
Yeah.
And Dave Drummond. They have a few more. I think maybe it's 5 or 6.
Even if it's 10,
it's worth $400 billion.
But they have all the valuation of all the companies, and so from a valuation per employee or an employee per
very
value,
high.
It's very high. So, and that's a completely irrelevant point, but interesting nonetheless. I think there are other reasons that make the. I agree with both of you. Actually, I think that this makes a ton of sense. I don't think there's reason for cynicism, and there are reasons they didn't mention. I think one of these, for example, is, when they bought Nest, they told Tony Fadell we would keep it independent, like a completely separate company.
And that's been a little bit of a challenge.
It's a challenge because
you have a
there
CEO
are other
under
divisions.
a CEO.
Exactly. And also there are other divisions within Google who would like that status, but just because they weren't acquired under the same circumstances. And so this sort of normalizes all this. But I think one of the least appreciated benefits of this is the timeline issue. If you compare like 2 extreme examples like Nest and Calico, okay? Nest is selling products right now. They have 2.0, 3.0 products right now. They're actively shipping and developing new products. It's a going concern. Calico is like, in the year 3000, we will alleviate death. And so the timelines of those 2 enterprises are so out of whack with each other that each of these organizations seems to be based on timeline to a very large extent. What is the timeline that these initiatives and projects and products are going to come online and be developed? And so I think that's a very liberating fact. And we talked about Google's gigantism. Jeff mentioned it, but this is a company that not only doesn't know how big things are going to be, they want things to be as big as they can possibly be. And every container. I've been farm sitting this week. I've been taking care of somebody's farm. Imagine a farm then. So let's say you have chickens and you have cows and you have goats and pigs and everything, and they're all in the same cage. That's one thing. If you right-size all the cages, then you have a much healthier ecosystem. All the animals can be free to do it.
You're saying Sundar Pichai was about to pick Ruth Porat's eyes out?
Yes, I am.
Oh, peck.
And it was really getting bad. We were going to have to slaughter one of them. But
your point, but I think Mike, your point about the CEOs, about those operating units having CEOs is a big one that a bunch of people have made, that it makes it easier to retain people. It makes it easier to offer people things because they're going to be a CEO of an actual operating subsidiary, not just a part of Google, the thing that makes all the money.
And I think that's a bigger problem that people appreciate. It's not just CEOs, it's CFOs. It's all C-level.
Right now
it's
not,
everybody.
but eventually I presume each division will have its own C-levels.
Yes, and they have been bleeding employees over the last year or so. Google has been losing a lot of people.
Wouldn't you rather be the CFO of Calico than a low-level employee at Google?
They're basically saying, they're implying that if you want to do a startup, don't leave Google and start a startup. Start a new company under Alphabet, and we'll retain the talent and so on. I think it's brilliant all the way around.
One thing I wondered about, which I wrote about, I'd like to get your guys' thoughts. Why didn't YouTube become a separate subsidiary like Nest? I mean, it's
because they don't want to report YouTube's
results.
YouTube, from a business perspective, YouTube very much belongs with Google because
absolutely,
because it's an algorithmically based advertising business.
Exactly.
The signals are harvested and from YouTube, and signals from search and other places are used in YouTube to provide relevant results and stuff. It's all about the algorithms and the advertising.
Yep, I absolutely agree.
But I think you could make just as strong an argument that it should be its own thing. I mean, it wants to become much more than just a search engine. It wants to become much more, I think, than just an
Well, it's free to do that within. I mean, let's
Wait,
note,
but isn't the regulatory issue that Google faces most strongly the issue of promoting its own properties in search? One of the issues, I mean, from my point of view, I'd love to see Google I've said this many times, get out of the content business. Why not spin off YouTube?
Well, we and I have this argument regularly. It's not really in the content business, it's in the content serving business. It doesn't own the content.
It wants to be in the content business, though,
it wants to be in the content business.
It knows where the conflict is.
It wants to be in any business can be generated with algorithms. But the weird thing, the reason people are concerned, you know, it's not crazy to think that YouTube would have been spun out as a separate company because it was already a subsidiary. It already has a CEO.
Right.
You know, so it is surprising in that sense.
I think you guys are overthinking this. Here's what I think this is all about.
We're professionals, Leo. This is what
we usually underthink, Leo. So this would be something new.
Here's what I think this is all about, and I do believe them when they say this has been something. The story is that Salman Kamangar came to the board years ago, like several years ago, and said, you know, you guys should think about this. And then they've been chewing on it, and something like this doesn't happen overnight. It's probably been in the works for a year or so. But here's what I really think is happening. I think what really happened is that Larry wants to step down. Wants Sundar Pichai to be CEO, and because I think Larry's tired of, and he even kind of implies this, tired of taking meetings about search and ads.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to go to those meetings anymore, but he knows it would be a big hit if he said, I'm going to become executive chair, and because truthfully, and this is my question, couldn't you do everything they've done without this compartment?
You totally could.
This is just what this is a reorg. Many companies have done this. Google themselves have done this.
Larry is too big for the normal route. The normal route is you become a VC. He's too big to be a VC. I think this is hand waving.
I think this is all saying, pay no attention to the fact that I'm going to step down and Sundar's going to be the CEO.
I think you're right. You're right in the tactical view, Leo, but in the strategic view, I think they're also trying to build a company for the ages. And if Larry gets
I agree. I'm not saying that there aren't subsidiary benefits. Yes. There are absolutely subsidiary benefits. There are also subsidiary negatives, risks, because they've said specifically they're going to provide Q4 reports for every segment.
And this makes Larry, as somebody said, a capital allocator. That's really his job.
And that's what he says his job will be.
To your point, it's you know, he is a VC in that sense.
We will rigorously. This is the salient paragraph. Alphabet is about businesses prospering through strong leaders and independence. In general, our model is to have a strong CEO who runs each business with Sergey and me in service to them as needed. That means not running it. I mean, service means, oh, you need some money? Right. Let me get the checkbook out. We will rigorously handle capital allocation. Rigorously handle capital allocation. That term rigorously is interesting.
Sounds painful.
And work to make sure each business is executing well. We'll also make sure we have a great CEO for each business, and we'll determine their compensation. In addition, with this new structure, and this is interesting that you pointed out this doesn't have to be done, but they've said, with this new structure, we plan to implement segment reporting for our Q4 results. Google financials will be provided separately than those for the rest of the Alphabet businesses as a whole. They don't have to do that. Sounds to me like there may be this will facilitate spin-outs by doing that, spin-offs by doing that.
But
when you say risks, Leo, when you say risks, think about this. So now you have Larry and Sergey sitting there with a big pile of money that Google has produced
on the jet.
Right? It's still the growth engine, and they've got all these CEOs. They're no longer VPs of such and such a unit. They're now CEOs of operating subsidiaries who have to come and say, I want X% of Google's money to do this. And then Larry and Sergey have to slice up the dough and hand it out to those CEOs. It could actually create a lot more problems.
Well, yeah, you're right, Matthew. But here's the real risk: is that I think we'll be past the idea that Larry is a one-hit wonder. But let's just say that his hits are behind him, just for the sake of argument here. Then you're right.
What is he, 43?
No. I'm just saying he has no great idea.
If you were in the NBA, maybe. Okay, go ahead.
Let me. I believe fully that Larry Page
doesn't matter. He's going to live forever.
Let me make clear. He has many more huge incentive. I'm just trying to say structurally that then Matthew's point is right. Then all you're doing is divvying up Google's money for the future. But The other pressure on Google, which has been tremendous, is to diversify. And that's a key part of this, is 96 to 98% of their revenue is advertising. So by taking Alphabet and by getting into new businesses, which may take a while to grow, but new businesses that are not ad supported purely, then that diversifies the corporation as a whole. And that's been another huge pressure on them. But it only works if they create new businesses, and that's highly risky, like all entrepreneurial ventures are. And that's where they really are. So they're going to allocate capital, but unlike just a Warren Buffett, they're not going to just buy things. They're going to build new things and build entirely new industries. High risk, high return, high growth. So I think if that's the audacious goal, then the divvying up of Google's money shouldn't be an issue, because there should be lots more money to be made by all these other divisions.
In the meantime, instead of having operating VPs of this and that, they have a bunch of CEOs who all now think, I'm the CEO of this damn thing. I don't have to, I should be running X company.
Oh, my guess is that if they're going to get good CEOs, they're going to let them do what they want. They're going to give them total autonomy, right? And if they make money, then they'll have. It'll be. You know what it is? It's serfdom.
It is. It's a feudal system.
It's a feudal system, and he's the lord of the manor.
Yes.
Yeah. But I've worked in many companies where newspaper chains, where you had 20 newspapers, each had a CEO, but you know what they did every month? They gave a bag of money to HQ,
right?
And HQ decided what to do with that. Right. That's quite normal.
Well, good. That's what's going to happen. And will Larry have to go to meetings?
Only if he wants to. Only if it's on the jet.
No, Leo, meetings come to Larry.
Yeah.
But, so my point, do you not think that this is retirement for Larry Page?
No, because I think it's retirement from the day-to-day of Google.
From Google,
I think it's Larry returning to his youth to build the new Googles.
Yeah, well,
it's a promotion.
Retirement means you get to do what you want. If you want to putter in the garden, you get to putter in the garden.
Yeah, but he's going to have higher goals than that. He's going to build.
Of course he is. But to me, it was. I mean, if I'm Larry Page, I'm sitting here, I'm going, God, I have to take another meeting on what color the homepage banner should be.
Or European regulators up our ass.
Yeah, Sundar, could you take this call for me? He doesn't want to run it day to day.
But who's going to referee between all those CEOs? Who's going to decide where that Google money goes?
Ruth Porat.
It's very clear.
There's only one division providing money. That's Google.
George Bush is the decider. Larry is the allocator.
Isn't though? What's Sergey's role in all of this?
What's his role now?
Project X, big ideas.
See, in my opinion, Sergey did this a few years ago.
Yeah.
And that Larry's looking at Sergey going,
jealous.
Man, he's got this Project X. He's having fun. He's zooming around.
Doesn't wear shoes.
Rocket ships. And I'm sitting in a meeting about what color the Google banner is. Can we please?
Pay for his fun.
So I bet you he's going to watch his philanthropy, see what happens with his philanthropy. He's got a foundation. Watch what happens with Project X+1, the Larry Page version. I think this, but what would have happened if instead of this, Google went through some sort of reorg, and Larry said, now I'm going to go join the board, and Sundar Pichai is the CEO of Google. How would the market have reacted to that?
Down.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And he has handed Sundar a kind of, a ball of something that might be unpleasant. I mean,
do you think Sundar was pushing for this?
I don't think so, but maybe.
I think Sundar was proving himself from day one. I think Sundar, the respect that Sundar clearly has in that world is, and that's a world where there's some backbiting.
Sundar is beloved. He's very impressive.
Yeah. The other
and I'm sure he wanted to be a CEO.
Omid right? is this is what's interesting to me is Omid, who's also much respected, who came back in important roles. One of the stories said that he now becomes an advisor to Alphabet and Google. That was I don't know the terminology behind that.
Yeah, I saw that.
So here's my theory on all this. You're going to love this, Jeff. So my theory is this has been in the works for several years. I've heard up to 4 years, and I believe that they had a feeling there was a couple of executives that thought that they would end up in the coveted CEO role. One of them was Vic Dotra, the other one was Sundar Pichai. And Vic Dotra made a big power play with Google Plus by taking everything under his wing, and he convinced Larry and Sergey to allow him to connect everything to his project. And then at some we'll hear about this in 10 years when we read Jeff Jarvis's book about this, but at some point Sundar Pichai won that, and that's why Vic Dotra left a year ago.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Yeah.
Sundar took Chrome Chrome OS, made it a success. Took Android when Ruben left, made it continued its growth.
Yep.
And is quietly operating in the background, making friends, building businesses, and won.
He won.
Yep.
And there,
and
there
this
are
is his
rumors
reward.
that, I don't know how much faith we should put in them, but there are rumors that Sundar had at least one CEO offer, possibly more.
Interesting.
Well, Microsoft, wasn't he a contender for Microsoft's?
They mentioned his name. I don't think he was.
And Twitter,
interested.
apparently, although I don't know how much there is to that.
Oh, God, can
But
you
let's say
imagine?
that-
What would make you...
maybe
What,
that was
What a
one of the
horrific
first-
step that would have been. Yeah.
oh,
Sundar, we were going to make you CEO, but enjoy the Twitter.
Yeah. You get a free account.
You get a
Comes
free
with a job.
What,
that would be the biggest, what was I thinking?
oh, my God. I could have had a
I could have had a
V8.
V8.
Would be a challenge.
Do you think that's interesting you brought up Omid Kurdistani? It's interesting that he went back just a few days ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting. He was their first CFO.
Yeah, and he went back to, that wasn't a few days ago, it was a few, but he went back.
Well, he's been working on it for the summer, but
he came
Larry
back
on
with-
August
what's his
10th,
name?
August 10th was 2 days ago, said said he's now going to be part of Alphabet.
An advisor.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But what was the name starts with an N? Who was in charge of revenue? He left the company to become an investor.
N is for
Nikesh Arora.
Oh yeah,
Nikesh Arora. So when Nikesh left, right, that's when I think Omid kind of came back into the chief revenue role. And so I don't know whether Omid was also another candidate for CEO of Google. I doubt that. I think it was pretty clear a year ago that it was Sundar. But Omid is also much respected. He's staying. He's an advisor. But
a year ago,
weird.
Larry Page said, in a little bit, we're going to make this Alphabet thing. I'm going to step down, and I need you as part of a senior management team to help me do this reorg. Here's what I think. Omid was doing it all behind the scenes. This was who was working on it.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
He's the guy to do it, right?
Consigliere. Yeah.
Consigliere.
He went off to a cottage, much like Matthews, in the woods with a lake, and he spent a year doing this.
If I did that, I wouldn't get anything done.
In fact, makes me wonder what Matthew is up to.
No, that makes sense. If you're going to pick a guy to do that,
Yes,
somebody
that
from
makes
out.
sense. I like that. That now makes sense. I couldn't figure out because Omid is so respected there and so liked there, like Sundar.
Help us do the reorg.
Yep.
And I bet you the kind of what's underlying it is, hey, I want to do this day to day, but I don't want it to look bad to the market and to investors. That Google's now going to be a rudderless ship with who's this Sundar guy. I want to make this look good, and I think Alphabet makes it all. Look at the stock market.
Yeah.
Now, are there any? This is something I don't know. Maybe you guys do because I'm not a financial guy. But are there tax or financial consequences, benefits? Or is it
Depends
just
on how they structure. You got to figure the
it
Ruth
flat?
Florat hire was critical to this.
Yeah.
And
Well, do you think Anderson left because of this? No.
I don't know, but I would imagine that Ruth had to be key to
Anderson.
structuring.
Who was the
questions.
CFO?
Yeah, I think her hiring was because of this.
Anderson was Apple.
I mean, she's perfect for this.
Yeah, I was going to say, who was
the
CFO?
guy before Borat? She got hired in
room?
the spring.
Chat room? Who was the
She joined in May.
does it say who she-
Replacing, yeah, I'll find this.
If only there was a
she
site
was
you
5
could
years
go
at
to.
Morgan Stanley.
Chat room? Come on, chat room. You're failing us. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Come
Patrick
on.
Pichette.
Oh, yeah. See,
Patrick Bichette, yes.
oh, he evidently did a good job. People liked him and so on, but wasn't the kind of power. When Ruth was hired, she was seen as a powerhouse hire.
Yeah.
And since then, the results have been making people happy, and she's got it into shape. And so I think the structuring, I bet she had a huge role in the structuring. And so now to answer your question, Leo, it depends on how it's done. I mean, because now what's possible is you could set up Nest as a Dutch company.
That is one of the financial issues Google and a lot of big tech companies have now is that a lot of their cash is overseas to avoid U.S. taxation.
It's not repatriated. If repatriated, it would take a lot of loss. So what can you do? Can you create they invested $100 million a year in Europe in a VC fund, which I still think is a little small for what they need to do. But they're doing interesting things there. You could imagine them creating entirely new companies in India, in Europe, in South America, in Asia, and that they could then use that capital expatriated for another company there. I don't know. Believe me, I'm no financial person either. I'm certainly not a tax person.
They could attach bags of cash to balloons and float them across borders.
But when you think about it, and those balloons would provide internet access,
yes,
along with bags of cash. But it feels to me like, and I don't know this either, but a holding company is probably going to be treated significantly differently tax-wise than an operating company like Google. I don't know that, but it feels to me like there's got to be a difference there. Maybe there is a benefit.
Well, a lot of these companies will probably lose a lot of money, and there are tax benefits for losing money. So who knows?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's that kind of stuff is black art.
Yeah. I mean, Calico is going to be on welfare for like a decade.
Well, that's why you don't want to. I'm puzzled because you don't really want to tell people how much these companies are losing because they're all losers.
No, but don't forget, the smartest analysts know that losses are a good thing when you have a highly profitable.
Losing money is great. Yeah.
So this makes it easier to balance. So that goes back to your question of Christmas with Daddy Larry. How much is in my stocking? That's not just about Google revenue. It's also about the tax structure here.
I'm reading an article in the MIT Technology Review by Robert Hoff. He says Google's new structure has few historical precedents in tech or outside it, and that it's a fairly risky proposition. He says, and he quotes a number of experts in finance and management, that they're going to have to spin off the companies that are worth something. In particular, these pieces that do not perform need to become independent companies in the reasonably near term, not just remain part of Larry and Sergey's big technology sandbox. The strategy only makes sense if they spin these companies off. Investors want to see results before we're dead. And Calico, while it's trying to prolong life forever, is not likely to see results until people are dead. Nobody's
holding companies typically trade at a sometimes a very sharp discount to operating companies. So there's going to be eventually a discount on the stock.
The timing of the reorg.
This is a different company. This is not, as we've already said, it's not Buffett. It's not P&G. It's a different beast.
But in fact, it's even more risky. I mean, Berkshire Hathaway is a day at the beach compared to
amen. But that's a big risk, big return.
This is the theory in this article, is that some of the investments that Google made are about to cross. They have passed the biggest risk point and are about to cross into profitability. There are already, according to a fellow at Stanford's Rock Center for Corporate Governance, there are already 2 or 3 possible Googles in the portfolio. They mentioned Nest, self-driving cars, and Project Loon, all of which have crossed the risk point, which means that they would be a very smart thing to spin out. And if you, I mean, imagine if you did kind of calve 3 or 4 new Googles out of Alphabet.
Right.
Let's not forget how you can spin them out too. Is you don't have to spin them out and sell them and lose them.
No,
you could just create new capital by selling 10% of them.
Yep.
And control
to the market.
Yeah.
And you thus create capital that's useful for the next new divisions, and that's really what's possible here.
So this article says that the companies that are going to make money need to be spun out. Then finally it concludes, in any case, the sweeping reorganization sets Google on Alphabet on a path that may be difficult to change in the future if it doesn't work, because it's more than simply a promise to report the financial results of Google and the Alphabet separately. It demonstrates their commitment, but it gives them less flexibility in the future. For better or worse, Page and Brin have made a bet on which they can't easily renege.
Well, it gives them less flexibility if they fail.
It's a high stakes
if they succeed.
Yeah, it's a high stakes.
And that may suggest that where the name came from, Alpha Bet. So Alpha, like,
in fact, Larry says that.
Yes,
he mentions that.
It's a bet to be the Alpha company.
The Wall Street Journal has a piece quoting a guy who says, a tax and accounting expert says there are no obvious tax benefits.
Okay. Because it's a reorg.
Yeah.
And I mean, as long as you shift the stock over to Alphabet, which you've done, then it's just a reorg. The naming doesn't make that much difference.
Yeah, you know what's amazing? Other companies should look at Google not because they did this, but how they did it.
Yeah.
It's so much more exciting than a regular reorg. If you just said, we're going to shift an operating unit over to this other thing, people would fall asleep while you were saying that sentence. But Google has this cool name, and it's got a new logo, and it's this huge future-looking thing. It's basically just a restructure.
Well, is there a new logo? I haven't seen the new logo yet.
I don't know if they have one. Andy Bio came up with one.
Because I want that.
Thank you,
I want
Andy.
that
I would just take Andy's. Yeah.
The other interesting thing, John Payton, who's a newspaper executive, Matthew and I both know well, had a really interesting tweet right afterwards, who said that what newspaper companies would have the courage to basically isolate their past and make the company the future. And so in a sense, you hate to imagine that Google is just the past. Google's the old thing. But the company didn't want to, part of what I said too was that Google was seen too much as just a search engine, a search engine, a search engine. And I've long argued for years on this show that no, it's much more than a search engine, and it's much more even than an advertising behemoth. It's a personal services company that moves past the mass market to treat people as individuals. It's huge in that way. And all these services, the BBC had me try to name every Google service I could in 20 seconds. And there's some mail and maps and so on and so forth. There's so much there. But yes, Google is in a sense, it's past. If you took a newspaper company, if they spun off, the difference is that Google has a future and newspapers don't. But if you spun off that past and or isolated that past, I should say, fenced that past and made the essence of the company the future. That's really what Larry just did. He made the essence of this company his future, which is yet unknown.
And in a way, of course, John Payton tried to do that. I don't want to get off topic, but with digital first media. And
yes, he did.
Unfortunately, as you pointed out, print still produces a bunch of revenue, but that revenue is declining dramatically. I mean, 10, 15%.
Well, it also requires that we have a future strategy.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's another show.
Nobody's arguing that Google is anywhere near the same position as
exactly.
newspapers.
No, exactly. But it is interesting that there was an effort to say, listen, folks, you keep on thinking of us as a search engine. You think of us that as a business where there's a hiccup in ad rates. You say, oh my God. You think of us as that in regulatory terms. Oh my God, you promoted this on search. Nobody was seeing Google itself properly, and still doesn't in and of itself, I think. But then they also didn't know what that WTF to do with self-driving cars and medical contact lenses and balloons and all this other stuff. It just didn't make any sense.
It does from the public point of view.
It streamlines
this rationalizes the whole thing.
And so that brings up another question: why not take Android out of Google and make that an operating subsidiary too?
Yeah, it feels like they kept all the good stuff.
Yeah. Sundar.
And
once again,
I think I'd like to keep. Yeah. Okay, look, you take the Project Loon, but I'll keep Android. Is that okay?
And can I have the Terminator robot too, or is that too much?
Yeah, no. How about YouTube? I'll tell you what. You keep Calico. I'll take YouTube. How about that? Okay, would they put all the cards on the table and like have a Dutch auction for the parts? They kept all the good parts.
Yeah.
Did they keep any money-losing divisions?
90% of the money, the companies that went into Google, the new Google, make 90% of Google's revenue.
I have an idea.
So it's almost all of it.
Why don't I take Twit and spin off?
Make it an operating unit.
Actually, it is not an unheard of thing. For instance, if we're considering, and we have been considering buying a building, you wouldn't buy it as Twit. You would buy it as a separate operating division. Right. You'd create a new LLC. And then
why do you do that?
And then you rent another company. You rent back to Twit.
Oh, I see. Right.
I don't understand.
You could get the URL ABCBFD.
BFD.
And
it's
be great.
And the building would be owned by a numbered company listed in the Cayman Islands typically.
This is not unusual at all in business. In fact, Lisa's prior job, which was working for a massive development company, every development they did was a separate LLC. At one point, she was managing well over 100 LLCs.
Wow.
So that's it's not a bad way to do things because it does kind of separate the structure out.
Come to think of it, that's how Trump runs his business.
Yeah, that's right.
Because everybody else is a loser.
They're all stupid. You're stupid.
The reason why people kept thinking of Berkshire Hathaway is that Berkshire Hathaway started with the thing that makes the money.
Right.
And so there's this core business that just spins off vast amounts of cash.
But it's very different, right? It's just a holding company, right?
Right. But Warren invests that cash in other things. He doesn't build things. He's not trying to cure cancer or, he just buys a bit of like Coca-Cola and a bit of Dairy Queen and a bit of whatever. But it's a similar strategy. You have a money spewing thing at the core, and then that money gets doled out to different things.
It's been great to watch everybody from Danny Sullivan to you, Matthew, to you, Jeff, kind of try to tease out the meaning in all this.
My favorite was when it first happened, when the announcement first came out. I happened to be looking at Twitter, of course, and because my eyes were open.
Happened?
Yeah.
Or is it just something you do all the time?
The first things I saw were literally WTF with a bunch of exclamation marks. Just people, because the first response was, "What the hell is going on? What does this even mean? What? I don't get it."
That was my reaction. We were on the air when we got the word. We were doing iOS Today.
My first reaction was that it was a joke or something like that.
I got a reporter coming to me saying, "I presume you've heard this. We want to talk to you about this." I thought, "What?" And I was driving, so I literally pulled off the road to go look, because I said, this is too big to just ignore and get to in 10 minutes. No,
see how much we need self-driving cars, Jeff? You could have just kept going.
You know, I think of for years, people called for Microsoft to split into 2 or 3 divisions. You know, operating systems. I can't even remember what they were now. And
they should have.
Maybe they should have. Maybe there would be more value now. I don't know. But this isn't quite the same thing, is it? Because Microsoft did do many a reorg. In fact, when Satya Nadella came in, he vastly reorganized the company. Google's been through reorgs before.
I think what people were thinking about was, you know, Microsoft had Windows and particularly Office as the thing that basically spewed out all the cash.
Right.
And they could have kind of separated that and then had
hardware and cloud, maybe, I guess,
where they tried new things like mobile and of course they.
Oh, that's the other thing. Where does the whole cloud division of Google go? That stayed in Google, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it. I mean, that strikes me. That could be a separate infrastructure company.
Really feels like the company we care. A lot of people. The #1 tweet I got was, "What are you going to call it this week in Alphabet now?"
Yeah, exactly. Boy, 100 times that one came up.
Oh, you're a wit. But
very good.
Nice.
I'd like to make an announcement. How did you get that so fast? Welcome to the new This Week in Alphabet.
TWIA. Audio only. We had to have a new logo, This Week in Alphabet.
Yeah, TWIA doesn't really work.
TWIA.
Yeah, I was handed that. Handed that in a digital sense from Anthony before the show.
We're not going to do that,
but we can if we want to.
Could. We have the means.
We can do it on the fly.
Apparently, we have the technology. I feel like really what happened is that all the good stuff was kept at Google.
So here's the way I look at it. Google is still Google. And then what Larry Page did was he created his own private Silicon Valley where he is the one and only VC. And everything else is a startup.
Oh, that's interesting.
So Google's the company, and then plus there are 7 startups, and they're going to be.
But what does somebody worth $30 billion like Larry do when they retire? They become a VC.
They play God.
Yeah.
So when we talk about self-driving cars, though, it's going to be really hard. It's like a gender switch. It's it's starting to call Caitlyn Jenner she. What are we going to say? Alphabet self-driving cars, or we're still going to say Google self-driving cars?
Well, you're gonna. Yeah, it's all going to. Well, that's an interesting.
That's a good point. That doesn't have the same ring at all.
So did they only spin off moonshots? No, because Nest is not a moonshot.
They're startups. They're startups.
Okay, but Nest is a
startup.
startup.
About YouTube. I mean, Nest and YouTube are both operating companies. They have revenue. They have.
But Nest is a unicornish sort of startup-y kind of a company. It's pretty new. I mean, it's
Listen, YouTube is still an advertising-based. Listen, Google. Look at it this way: everything that's advertising-based is in Google. Everything else that's technology-based in various ways, more hardware-based, oddly, Nest, cars, and so on and so forth, biomedical stuff, that's all hardware. That's off in new divisions.
What about
advertising is Google.
Google Fiber is spun off.
Android doesn't fit that model at all.
Android should,
What doesn't?
Android's hardware.
I would have spun off Android.
Android. Well, yeah, I thought about that, but Android. There are things here that serve the Google advertising mission.
Exactly.
My argument for years has been that mobile is a signal generator.
Okay.
And it is a signal generator because Android.
So they need those to be tightly coupled. They need this.
But they don't need to own it.
Well, but if
They
you
need
own
to
it, you
control
can
it.
tightly couple it.
No, because Android, here's my argument, Matthew, here's my argument there. Google coming out with a $50 phone, there's no money to be made for the manufacturers for Android. It's going to get worse and worse and worse for there. So it's not going to be a very good company on its own, but it's an important enabling technology for not only Google, but for everybody else to spread mobile. So it's a necessary step, but it's not going to be a great business itself. Android's never going to be a great business.
I do have a feeling, though, I mean, Leo, you were joking about this, but it feels to me like, to some extent, this reorganization says, you know, Google is boring and not much is going on there, and I'm sick of it.
It's a risk.
But it produces a bunch of cash, so we'll just let Sundar run it. And it kind of makes it feel, you know, it downplays Google to some extent, even though it does produce all the money.
Sundar is going to surprise us, isn't he? I think what Larry has a vote of faith in Sundar here that says that you're the junior Larry.
No, but the key is it doesn't matter.
Why?
What doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter if Google goes up or down.
It doesn't? Not
to Larry. Larry's more interested in everything else.
It provides all the money.
Well, that's a good point. But he's got enough money.
But Google, it was Matthew, what you're really asking is, will Google surprise us and innovate? Will it come up with a new Android or a new Chrome or a new thing?
Maybe not.
I think it will.
I think it will.
Well, but why? What's the incentive to? I guess the incentive would be then you might get your own company under the Alphabet umbrella.
Yeah.
You're also improving Google's business and making it expand. Again, Google started as, that's why I keep on saying, everybody still sees Google as a search engine. It wasn't even an ad company. It became an ad company. And then it became a platform company. Then it became a personal services company. It became a navigation company. It became all these things that do fit together under the rubric of advertising-supported personal services. That's, to me, what Google is. And entertainment in the form of YouTube. And distribution in the form of YouTube, right? But it all, to me, fits together there. And no, there could be big surprises left. But what if, here's what I guess I'm saying is, if Sundar wants to start his self-driving planes, he probably won't be allowed to because it just won't fit. He's got to have something strategically that fits with Google as a division and its mission. There's not an alphabet within Google.
Would they ever spin off Google?
I think they might, or part of it. Why not?
I don't think they would, simply because why would they? They're gazillionaires and they love it and it's their life. And I just think even if it made sense financially, I don't think they'd do it.
It doesn't create any more capital than they already have. And that's in a capital market. You'd spin off the other things that are undervalued within it. Google's valued properly.
Somebody in the chat room says, yeah, but what happens to Orkut?
It's gone. They closed it.
We're going to take a break. Actually, what happens to Google Plus?
Yeah.
Larry said that was the one comment that he answered in this entire discussion.
We still like it. Doesn't mean we're going to keep it around.
He said we still love it.
We still love it. I love it. We all love it.
We all love it.
Nobody's not saying we don't love it. We're just saying
sometimes you have to put things down.
It might be the loved one.
Well, that was part of the question, too, is that people said, well, this requires Larry to be ruthless. He's been ruthless. He's killed things. Yeah. He's killed the beloved.
He's been more than ruthless, yeah. Sometimes to his detriment.
It requires him to not be required to do anything he doesn't want to do.
That's what I think. I'm honest to God. I really think that from a personal point of view, this is just Larry retiring.
Retirement. Yep.
But retirement in the sense that a Larry Page retirement, much like a Sergey Brin retirement, would be a very active retirement.
Larry is bumping himself upstairs to the moon.
Yes. Yeah. And had he not split these companies out, it would have been a bad thing for the stock market. And oddly enough, by doing it this way, and fortunately he has somebody as a high quality Sundar Pichai, which the market probably thinks very highly of. He was able to add 5% to the market.
Who else besides Vic and Sundar could have been candidates for CEO over the years?
Yeah.
Tim Armstrong.
There've been some, but Sundar's really shown that he can run a division.
Yeah.
He's not what I would call inspiring.
He's boring.
He's boring, although my experience with him has been really, I've always been very impressed with him.
Very smart, very charming.
He's charming. I got in an argument with him early on about whether Chrome OS made any sense at all. And he, instead of getting upset, he listened and he was very coherent in his response and persuasive.
The one word people tend to use is dependable.
Yeah.
So not exciting,
right?
But you can count on him to deliver.
So basically, he's got the engine room. Larry said, "I don't want to spend any more time down here shoveling coal."
Scotty,
take over. I'm going up to the bridge.
Larry said, "Beam me up to
I want to look at the
place.
stars."
Larry is Kirk, and Sergey is
Spock. Or vice versa.
But who's Uhura?
Oh.
Who's Sulu in this scenario?
Tony Fidel.
Tony Fidel.
Before we leave it, let's make one more note. The three immigrants from India in this country running three
Isn't that
huge
amazing?
companies. And what an argument for changing our immigration structure, to say that the amount of talent that we could have here if we weren't so short-sighted and stupid about this.
Yeah. Prachai, Nadella, who's the third?
Oh, I'm forgetting now suddenly. It was in the story.
What company?
I forgot.
I'm spacing too.
Sorry, I brought it up.
Or did I have it on the... Yeah, you want facts
really
on this
big
show?
company.
We don't do facts. We just do blather.
Really big company.
I'll take a break. We'll talk about a mattress. You take a nap. We'll come back, and then you'll know. Our show today brought to you by Casper. Oh, I love my Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the cost. We got Casper for our guest room. We got we kind of went all in on Casper. We got Casper for my son in college. And there's our queen-size Casper. Now, this is nice because it comes in a fairly compact box. So that's why I got it for my son in college. It was very easy to transport up 3 flights of stairs, no elevator. Open it up, and there he is. The mattress opens up, and it's beautiful. It's comfortable, combining latex and memory foam for both support and comfort, just the right sink and bounce. It's risk-free because even though you're buying it online, you have 100 nights to return it at no cost to you. So you literally can sleep on it for 100 nights, say, you know, I decide I don't want this. They will send a courier who will come and get it. You will have paid zilch. You refunded all your money, zero. And then I think what they do is donate it to charity, which is kind of nice. So everybody wins.
Yeah.
Except Casper.
You're not going to.
You know what? You're not going to return it. You're going to love it as much as we do. Casper mattresses, proudly made in the USA. They are comfortable. You'll love them. And because they're selling direct to you, the price is right. Starts at $500 for a twin. In fact, even less, because you can save $50 when you go to casper.com/twig and use the promo code TWIG. $50 off your new Casper. It is revolutionizing the mattress industry. No resellers, no showrooms, mean the savings go right in your pocket. Casper, CASPER.com/twig. We love our Caspers. And I asked Henry, he was home for the summer, and I said, how do you like your Casper? He loves it. He's moved it to the new place. He just got another place.
Very nice.
Moved it over.
They're easy to move, too. Sometimes you move a mattress or like a futon or something like that, and you just can't get a handle on it. These fold up. You move them easily. They're really nice that way.
Yeah, he really loves his Casper. He says the ladies do, too. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, don't. Yeah. Don't tell you about that.
Let's not go there.
That is, though, how they advertise on the Howard Stern show.
I know they do. I know they do. I had a waterbed in college. This is not a recipe for romance.
You would have, yeah. slosh.
It was terrible. You can't get a purchase.
I had a California king-size waterbed in high school.
Yeah,
me
too.
Yeah, and it was ridiculous. It was
like a big balloon.
Yeah,
that you're sleeping on.
Well, it never stops. It's like we're being on a ship.
We're not exactly. We're close enough in age that when we were that age, I was in college, you were in high school. That was the thing to have.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was
a terrible idea.
Yes.
It was before the internet, right?
Yeah, we didn't have. There was no one to tell us. Don't get it.
So there was no one to make fun of us. So I have 8 Indian executives from Forbes in the
that's amazing.
Chat in the rundown
in the top top Fortune 500. Yeah. Pretty amazing.
It is.
Have we covered everything we need to say? Yes, we still love Google Plus. BMW will not sell Alphabet.com to Alphabet, but they got ABC.xyz, right, which is actually pretty good. And you know what that means? Doesn't it give XYZ.xyz some legitimacy?
It does. It does.
In the past, you would have said, "Oh, yeah, go to twit.xyz," and people go, "What do you mean, twit.com.xyz? What do you mean?" Now you just it's real. Who owns XYZ? Google probably.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. No, somebody else does. The chat room will tell us. But before we go on, Leo, if I may,
yes,
I have a prepared statement about the name Google. Nobody seems to know, and this shows obviously the perfect place to talk about this. Nobody seems to know what the origin of Google is. Everybody tells the story that It's a big number.
Google.
It's a 1 with 100 zeros.
GOOGL or whatever.
GOL, yes.
Yeah, GOL.
And there's another story that's in the rundown now about Raymond Chandler, who in 1953 wrote a letter to his agent that referenced Google as it's a pseudo-scientific or sci-fi style of writing where he mentioned...
This is going to get
Google.
Twit fans going crazy because it makes fun of sci-fi. Brilliant. Yeah. It's worth reading for that.
Raymond Chandler, who was one of the great genre writers mocking another genre.
Yes.
But that is not the origin either. The origin is in 1919, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, there was a cartoon in 1919.
Yeah.
And one of the characters of that cartoon was named George Google. Let me see. So the cartoonist was Billy DeBeck, and he created a character in 1919 named Barney Google.
Oh, Barney Google, yeah.
Barney Google.
I used to read that.
Yeah, Jason, if you can find
Googly eyes.
Yes, that
Googly
song.
eyes.
Yes, that was song. It was a very popular cartoon, and that song was written as a popular song about the cartoon character. And he had a horse named Sparkplug who was always trying to convince to win races, and Sparkplug was a real pain in the neck.
I'm playing the
and so
theme
on.
right now, Jason, if you have my audio.
Yeah.
Why didn't we ever think to make that our theme?
Yeah, there you go.
This is our new theme.
This sounds like
So the
the
only
orchid.
question
This
is-
sounds like the Sousa version of it. There's actually a popular singer version of this. That's
This is not it?
this. No, this isn't it.
The only question is, why would they choose that?
Okay, so here's why they chose it. They didn't choose it from the cartoon. They chose it from the mathematician. But the mathematician in 1940, his name was Milton Serrata. No, I'm sorry. There was a 9-year-old boy. There was a
kid, yeah.
Yeah, there was a 9-year-old boy named Milton Serrata, and his uncle was mathematician
Right.
Edward Kasner.
That's right.
Edward Kasner went to the kid and said, "Give me a great name for a
10 to
really
the
big
100th,
number."
yeah.
And the kid, who was a fan of the cartoon, said Google. But here's the interesting.
I knew that I knew that
Right.
story as a kid. I remember that story.
Okay.
As a kid.
But he spelled it properly.
The original Barney Google, the Google is spelled Google, and the mathematician changed the spelling to Googol.
For 10 times 10 to the 100th.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But the origin is a cartoon. It's not.
I remember as a kid, we all thought, oh, that was the largest number, is a 1 with 100 zeros after it, and
Why would we think that as kids? Well, why not a million zeros?
yeah, why that?
Yeah.
But that's what it was. So, given Larry and Sergey's obvious knowledge of that, I think that have they ever spoken out? Did you ever ask them, Jeff, why the name?
No.
By the way, this is funny because if you read this bit from Raymond Chandler, it was a letter to his agent in which he says, "Did you ever read what they call science fiction? It's a scream. It's written like this, quote, I checked out with K-19 on Aldebaran 3 and stepped out through the chromiolite hatch on my 22 model Sirius hardtop. I cocked the time injector in secondary and waded through the bright blue manda grass. My breath froze into pink pretzels. I flicked on the heat bars, and the Brillis ran swiftly on 5 legs, using their other 2 to send out Krylon vibrations. The pressure was almost unbearable, but I caught the range on my wrist computer through the transparent cystocytes. I pressed the trigger. The thin violet glow was ice cold against the rust-colored mountains. The Brillis shrank to half an inch long, and I worked fast, stepping on them with the Poltex. But it wasn't enough. The sudden brightness swung me around, and the 4th moon had already risen. I had exactly 4 seconds to hot up the disintegrator, and Google had told me it wasn't enough. He was right. They pay for this crap? Asks Raymond Chandler.
Nice.
Google told me it wasn't enough.
It was enough.
I think Google's a thing in this, but a person. Apparently, he's done the same thing with TV. This is a good article. A little kudos to Vlad Savov.
Yeah, it was a cool article.
Writing in The Verge.
So going back to Google, sorry. There was an article.
really?
No, don't apologize. Believe me.
There was an article in the Wall Street Journal, 2004, that mentions Milton Serrata and Kasner, who came up with Google.
Okay.
And it says that Kasner, his great niece says she thinks Kasner tweaked the spelling to avoid trademark issues.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But there's no interview with Larry and Sergey about this.
Not that I've been able to
They've never
find.
been
Was there ever a case of the owner of Barney Google having a fight here? Who owns Barney Google?
Apparently, Kasner thought about suing Google at one point.
Really?
But never did. Yeah.
Did he trademark?
Which is odd.
Should have sued them for a Google dollars.
Yeah. I'll take $1 to the $100. Is there anything else to talk about? Are we done? Everything pales, secondary to Alphabet. Did we mention last week Android One is being relaunched? Apparently, it was a kind of a flop. The idea of selling a $100 phone in developing nations, apparently that's still too expensive.
Yep.
They're going to relaunch it with phones less than $50, which might even still be too expensive.
Even as low as 30. The range they're targeting now is $30 to $50 in India. Just India is where they're starting. And I just can't imagine how you make that happen. I mean,
I am so impressed by this Moto G.
Yeah.
But that's a $200 phone.
Yep.
Although that's what they charge. I wonder what
Jason, what did you guys have to say on Android about the Verizon ending the
no more subsidies, baby.
Subsidies.
You know, we didn't actually talk about Verizon last night.
Sorry, we
had a lot
talked
of other
about it ad infinitum on every other show. So
you did, yeah, but yeah. So don't worry about
ad nauseum.
We spent a lot of time on Alphabet as well.
So, but that's a model for reducing the cost of the phone. Is that kind of subsidy structure? But it's just at that scale, it doesn't work in India, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's one point, which is that subsidized phones are kind of a unique to the United States situation. So
because it's a scam.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah. It would be prohibited by any sensible regulator.
Yes. Or consumer marketplace.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's an interesting thing. Why do consumers put up with this? Do they not know it's a scam?
They
do not know. They think, you know, short-term thinking. They think, well, I get a cheap phone
only $200.
Right, and they think it's subsidized. It's not a subsidy. Everybody calls it a subsidy. A subsidy is when money comes from somewhere else and comes to you. A subsidy is not where you pay for it later.
It's not a line item on your bill. I mean, it will be from now on.
That's why it works, because it's all muddled in there. But if let's say you spend an extra $25 per month on your bill for the 2-year contract, okay, after 2.5 years, you keep paying that $25. Right. And after another year,
they know that
every single month. It's a wonderful business model.
It becomes clear as a scam when you change your plan and they say, oh, by the way, that's going to be another 2 years you owe us.
Yeah. It's very.
Well, I liken it to the dry cleaner who gives you a bag when you first start using the dry cleaner with their name on it. And then you say after a year, hey, thanks very much, but I'm going to go across the street. And they say, oh, that's fine, but that'll be $150 for the bag.
Yeah.
We have an early termination fee here at the dry cleaners.
Or it's like your cable company. Your cable company rents you your router or your modem or whatever, and it's $15 a month. You've paid for that thing 15 times by the time, you know, a couple of years goes by.
Cable companies in the U.S., I don't know how it is in Canada, but in the U.S., they're even worse than that. They actually do have early termination fees. Yeah. So if you sign up for a deal, as I did, an internet deal, you have to have, it runs for a year with Comcast. And I went and I said, well, I've got business class service now. I want to cancel mine. They said, well, okay, but that's going to cost you $150, the early termination fee.
Well, do you guys have, when you, like, let's say you want to get out of your cell phone contract, do you have to buy out the remainder of the contract?
Yes. I mean, that's an early term ETF. And I think what's broken this is that the number 4 carrier, maybe number 3 or number 4 carrier, T-Mobile, and I guess Sprint sort of started doing this too, started saying, we'll pay your fees to move to T-Mobile. Right. And that started the whole crumbling of this edifice. And then T-Mobile went to that month-to-month, no subsidized phones. And Verizon's now doing it. And I can only imagine AT&T and Sprint will do the same soon.
There's a perverse logic to it if you think about it, though, because you're essentially screwing over a customer you've already lost. So why not take a parting shot and get an extra squeeze another $150 out of them? They're leaving anyway.
So making this all explicit is certainly going to put price pressure on phones. Yeah. Apple will never go down.
No.
Right? Apple'll still be $650. But this Moto G, and even the Moto X, the high-end Moto is what, $400. But this Moto G is every bit as far as I'm concerned, is the same as the original Moto X for $200. It's faster. It's snappier. In fact, it's snappier.
Today I actually went in the Apple store. There's various things happening here and there and everywhere. I really should have an iPhone. I really should be able to use it too because I can test out things.
Yeah, you should.
But Jesus, you know, so I go in and I look at the C, the 5C, the cheapest one you can get, $450, and it's not half the phone that Moto G is.
And it's 3 years old. What?
Yeah, exactly.
That's outrageous. Well, you know, the new Apple phones are coming out next month, which means the old ones will be reduced a little bit.
But still, they'll be reduced to what, $550? I mean,
not by much.
You know, I wonder if this is going to impact Apple, this loss of this subsidy. The fact that you'll know how much that iPhone costs.
I think it will,
really
and I think the Chinese economy and all that is going to affect them. I think Apple's in for another rough year or two. Comparatively speaking, they'll do fine. Don't worry about Apple, folks. They'll be fine. But I think that they had a big spike because of China, a big spike because of their giant phones, and that was a blip. I don't think that was a trend.
It was an aberration.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah. There's this kind of, you tend to think of Apple as being home run after home run after home run. In fact, they had a few hits. They had a few home runs. Then they had a grand slam. You know, I don't think the watch is even a home run. I don't think the iPad maybe is a home run. They don't have another grand slam in their back pocket.
A big iPad isn't going to save them. The new Apple TV isn't going to save them. The home automation is not going to save them. I don't know what.
Okay, so now back that up to if I made to Google for a second. Is that what if you look at what Larry because what was Google? Google was Larry and Sergey's inspiration. Since then, the other great inspirations of the company didn't really always flow from them, whereas at Apple, everything had to flow from Steve. True?
Yes.
Just throwing that out.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think.
If not flow from Steve, flow through Steve. He's certainly, in modern era CEOs, was the biggest control freak, I think, of any.
If you wanted to get your product idea to market, you had to go through Steve.
Convince him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you look at, Gmail didn't come from Larry and Sergey.
Right. No.
Advertising didn't.
Larry and Sergey. Yeah, I mean, all those things.
Well, even, Google Plus, Vic Gundotra had to go on a several-year lobbying campaign, right, to get that to go through.
Yep.
It's interesting that when I was talking about the odds that Google might buy Twitter, especially since, they've been kind of de-emphasizing Google Plus to some extent, maybe, so the theory was, well, maybe this will make it more likely they're going to buy Twitter. One of the responses was, it's not a Larry-sized problem. So basically, Larry doesn't give a shit about
That's the equivalent of Orson Welles saying, I don't get out of bed for less than $10,000.
Right, exactly. It's not a Larry-sized problem.
Well, that's kind of the writing on the wall. We maybe should have paid more attention to that. Larry isn't interested in the minutia, the day-by-day minutia.
Well, I also think Google Plus is from an era where everybody was freaking out that Facebook was taking over the world. And of course, Facebook is taking over the world, but not necessarily entirely with Facebook.com. Now they're going after YouTube. They're going after the messaging business. They're going after all these other things. But there was a period of time there where Facebook was directing all the traffic, where social networking was viewed for about a year as the only way that in the future you would be able to direct traffic and get eyeballs and do all that kind of stuff. Now we kind of know, there's lots of ways to do that. It wasn't really the big scary doomsday that we thought it was.
But they're all social, are they not? I mean, that's part of the risk for Google, I think, is social just keeps climbing as a means of referring traffic and as a means for people to find things, to find content. Google Plus, and I don't want to say anything bad about it, Google Plus has not achieved some of the goals that it set out to achieve. What else does Google have? I mean, look at Instagram or WhatsApp, or Facebook has 4 out of the top 10 iOS apps in the world.
Yeah.
It's got billions of users for text messaging and photo sharing, and what does Google have to compete with that?
Google has
Photo.
Android and Google Now and stuff
but Android is spinning out of its control, which is a problem.
Yeah.
Google Now is great. I feel like, okay, let's take a break because I want to ask about messaging.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is a potentially fumbled opportunity on Google's part.
Yes.
Huge.
Oh,
and it's the future.
Yeah, and I feel like messaging, it's very clear now that messaging is the app that you need to own right now.
Yeah.
But let's take a break and talk about that. We also we've got news. The Moto X will now be available starting September 3rd. Motorola just tweeted that. I just bought my OnePlus 2 thanks to you, Jeff Jarvis. I bought it on Tuesday. It says 15 to 20 days before it ships.
I'm still not sure which to buy. Still got to figure it out.
I've been looking at that.
I love that I don't have to think about it. I mean, well, there's advantages and disadvantages. On the one hand, I don't have to decide. I just buy everything. On the downside, I have to pay for it all. Yeah. That's not an inconsiderable amount of money.
No, I would love to see that budget.
Oy, shabunga jinga. This is the worst time of year.
You break up, you're going to have to report those numbers, Leo.
I even not only have to buy it, but then I have to use them.
They're all owned by operating subsidiaries, though.
And you know what? I'm getting 20 hours battery life on the Moto G. I don't want to give it up, even though I made a butt-ass ugly choice of colors.
Oh, come on, burgundy. What is that?
Burgundy and lime green.
Yeah.
It seemed like a good idea at the time. Our show today brought to you by lynda.com. Learning is a lifelong thing. We all love to learn. I think if you're watching or listening to our shows, that's because you love to learn too. Lynda is a great way to polish up your skills, whether it's for work or for fun, for something you like, for a hobby. In every area, there are over 3,000 video courses on demand, so you can strengthen your skills in business and in technology, creative skills too, whether it's to make your own apps, to take better photos, or to master Excel or Google Sheets, or sharpen your SEO skills. They've got so many courses. And when new stuff comes out, they're ready. When Windows 10 came out 2 weeks ago, day and date, they had Windows 10 courses because they work with the publishers. Now, if you've always wanted to learn to code, coding, by the way, everybody should learn it, but it's a great hobby. I mean, there's lots of benefits, you know, rigorous thinking, and, you know, you can get a great job, but it's also fun. And Lynda makes this fun. New courses include Java Essential Training, Design Patterns with Python, Advanced Responsive Layouts with CSS Flexbox. There's a great multi-course series called Code Clinic. I've mentioned this before. They take a single challenge and they solve it in a bunch of different languages, including C, C#, C++, but PHP and JavaScript and Ruby. They've got R now. I mean, it's really cool. Lynda, Lynda.com. I do all the photography courses. Lisa and I both do that because it's kind of our hobby. And some of my favorite photographers teach at lynda.com. That's another thing I like about Lynda. The best teachers, almost always working professionals. The videos are very well shot, so it's easy to watch. You can learn at your own pace. You can watch from beginning to end or just a little bit here or there. You can even search the transcript, find the answer to something you're trying to figure out, and watch the video from that point. You can even download the tutorials and watch them on the go on your Android or iOS device.
And here's a pro tip for people who want to do a tablet. It's a lean back learning experience. You kick back on the couch with your tablet.
Chromecast it.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Kick back, get a nice beverage and a giant hamburger, and sit there and enjoy yourself because it's really fun.
That's a good idea because, like, for the photography courses, you kind of want to have, let's say, Lightroom on your laptop, and you're sitting with it on your lap watching the thing. Yeah. That is a good way to work. I like that. Lynda.com. We should start a thing. How do you watch lynda.com?
Exactly.
Lynda.com/twig to sign up for a free 10-day trial. You can see everything, the run of the place. That's kind of how Lynda does it. It's flat rate, monthly flat rate that will let you study anything. So you don't have to decide ahead of time which course you want to take. Dip your toes into any number of them. You've got 10 days to do it at Lynda, Lynda.com/twig, Lynda.com/TWIG. We love Lynda and we thank them. I've known Lynda so long. Did you know Lynda Wyman?
I did. I never met her.
She's great. She wrote we used to have her on the screensavers all the time because she got started in this writing books on web design. She was an expert in web design. Wrote these, remember the days where the books were that thick, were like 3-4 inches thick. She'd write those big, thick books on web design. I always thought the world of her. Yeah, she's another. I think she's retired, or she's
the Larry Page.
Yeah,
of
Larry Page
learning.
of learning. So she sold to LinkedIn not so long ago, and I think is enjoying the good life. Good for you.
There was just a great feature about 12 men who were lucky to be married to powerful heads of companies in Silicon Valley.
I should be in that. I should be in that for sure.
Yeah, well, yes, but Lynda and her husband were one of the 12.
Yeah.
His last name is .com, I think.
Oh, very well.
Oh, nice.
Very
nice. So, yeah, if you're choosing a phone, this is an interesting time of year, isn't it? Because IFA's coming up in September. We know the Apple iPhone will be announced September 9th. I think the Apple iPhone is going to be such an incremental upgrade this year.
Yeah, yeah.
That I don't know if that's going to be something that's going to stimulate.
And we all paid so much for the first one.
Right.
It's got to be just amazing to justify an upgrade.
Force Touch, better camera, better processor. That's it.
Force Touch is a difficult thing to get excited about.
So I ordered the OnePlus 2, which has some it's got some question marks too, but it is Type-C, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
The camera is becoming more and more important to me.
Yeah.
Well, the two new Nexi will be interesting because they probably will have fingerprint. They probably will have USB-C.
I feel like, yeah, the OnePlus and the Motos of chewed fingerprint readers where, no, the OnePlus does have a very good fingerprint. I take it back. The OnePlus 2 has supposedly the best of the bunch.
Yeah.
The fastest fingerprint reader of them all.
Yeah.
I feel like I could live without NFC, but I got to have fingerprint. Just because of the convenience.
With their track record, you have to wonder whether people are going to trust them with the fingerprint data. Of course, a lot of the Android-based, including Samsung's fingerprint reader, has been hackable, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so that's something. I'm not sure that they've demonstrated that they're a reliable company. They certainly make high-quality, low-cost phones, but they've had some questionable judgment.
There was a presentation at Black Hat. Researchers showing how hackers can attack your smartphone and steal your fingerprint on a large scale. That's not onesie-twosie. FireEye demonstrated ways to extract fingerprints from the sensors in Samsung, Huawei, and HTC devices. One in particular, there were 4 attacks dubbed the fingerprint sensor spying attack, can harvest fingerprints on a large scale.
Here's what's really, really scary about that. Your fingerprint is permanent. It's not like a password that they're stealing.
It's more like your social.
Right. I mean,
you can even change your social, but you can't change your
exactly.
fingerprint.
This goes on the market and becomes out there.
What can somebody do with my fingerprint? Unlock my phone?
In 10 years from now, who knows?
Who knows?
Well, somebody showed. No, there was a demo of that, of taking your fingerprint and putting it on a tape. And I saw that at the time it came out with Apple. Yeah. Somebody managed to do it. Yeah. But Jesus, again, the sky could fall down tomorrow.
Apple stores your fingerprint in a first of all, they don't store the fingerprint. They store data points about your fingerprint, a hash. And then second, they also store it in a secure store, which apparently Samsung doesn't do.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to find out what OnePlus does.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, those are two facts that we got to wait for. One is, what do the pictures actually look like? They can talk all day about the camera.
No, I got to see the pictures.
And then the second thing is, let's get the big security companies and the hackers banging on their fingerprint reader and see what happens.
Thursday, we're going to do the Samsung Unveiled event. That's going to be presumably, although we're not sure, just the rumor mill has been very active, the new Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, which is an oversized version of the S6 Edge, which I like a lot. There's a great camera, good-looking phone. I don't know if I want a bigger screen. One of the things that's intriguing to me, this G is a 5-inch screen, and I kind of like it a little bit better. I wish it were a little higher res screen, but the battery life, I think, benefits from a low-res screen.
Yeah.
The Moto X is going to be, the new Moto X Pure is going to be 5.7 inches. Samsung will also announce its Note 5. Is that going to be 6 inches, or are they going to stay with the 5 points, whatever it is? Giant phones are the wave of the future, apparently. So let's talk about messaging, because I think this is a really interesting area. There was a good article in Wired. Was it David Pierce, I think, who wrote the article in which he said, can we just all agree on one messaging program?
Like they do in China.
Like in China, where they get great benefits of scale for WeChat. You can buy, not only can you chat, you can buy train tickets, get your laundry done. You can do all sorts of stuff.
There's gaming.
Gaming. Facebook Messenger is the closest to becoming that in the U.S., I think, right?
I don't know.
Maybe Facebook itself.
They've already got payments.
Yeah.
Everybody's on Facebook. Almost everybody.
But do people use the payments?
No, I've never seen anybody use it. They say they've got a new feature called Money Penny that will be a digital assistant.
Yeah.
Now the third-party versions of that exist, right? You can say, "Please get my laundry," and
Money Penny will be human assistants.
Right.
Yeah.
That you use Facebook Messenger to conjure up.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only way to do it. You can't really bring my dry cleaning in if you're a robot.
I don't think they'll take your dry cleaning in. I think they're going to function like Siri. They'll get information.
You'll ask them
for
questions.
Right. They
so
won't
it'll be like
do
the Amazon Mechanical Turk kind of.
Exactly. I think that's closer to the model.
Interesting.
Your dry cleaning is going to have to wait for another technology.
There are even, according to Pierce in this article, there are even WeChat stars, much like there are Vine stars. People who use WeChat as a broadcast medium, which I find kind of interesting.
We got to get in front of that.
Yeah.
Well, I think his point is
This
a good
week in
one.
WeChat.
You've got all these apps that focus on sort of one thing. So you've got Kik does something, WhatsApp is for certain users, and Facebook Messenger is popular with some, and then other people use this one or that one. I'm trying to keep in touch with just a handful of friends, let alone my kids. There's like 5 different apps that I have to use, and I'm not sure which one to use. Use the wrong one, the person never sees it because they're not on that service anymore.
We're kind of like the days where you couldn't text message somebody who wasn't on your carrier, or if your friends used ICQ, then you had to use ICQ.
MSN or
in Canada. Well,
that's why ICQ was so great
because Trillion
federated some.
Yeah, Trillion did that. Yeah.
And Addy
and Pigeon. There were a few of these.
Pigeon. Yeah.
In Canada, everybody used MSN Messenger. And here in the States, I think AIM was the big one.
Right.
What happened when MSN Messenger went away? Did people stop? What did they?
People just stopped communicating.
They just stopped talking to each other.
They went to their cabins.
That's right.
No, we can use smoke signals as well.
BlackBerry and BlackBerry.
Moose calls.
Here in the States.
BBM, BlackBerry BBM.
BBM. But here in the States, what happened is everybody just started using text messaging, SMS. Which is
remember how late we were, how very late we were to that.
That's
the rest of the world was on text.
BBM
we didn't
came the closest. I would say BBM came the closest in the last, recently, to sort of owning messaging, and I think there were a couple of things. So I remember when my daughter said she wanted a BlackBerry, and I said, "What are you talking about? Nobody wants a BlackBerry."
What do you work in government?
What are you, the president?
Yeah, everyone wants iPhones and stuff like that. And she said, no. I like the physical keyboard for BBM, but I have to have BBM because all my friends use it. And the main reason she told me they wanted it was read receipts. So BBM was one of the first ones to have read receipts in a sort of mainstream app. And she said, if you text somebody, I did a pregnancy test last night and it's positive, or whatever, something related to your romantic encounter, you want to know that they saw that thing right away. And you want to know when they sort of saw it and when they replied. So read receipts was a huge deal. And for a variety of reasons that we can't go into because that's a whole program, BlackBerry basically screwed the pooch, and BBM became, didn't become what it could have become.
Yeah.
But it was close, very close.
Well, speaking of close, I feel like Google had or has an opportunity with Hangouts, but doesn't seem to get it.
They just can't get it.
It's just not working.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to do too much. Messaging, if you think about the apps that really have worked, whether it's Kik or Line or WeChat or even Snapchat when it first started, they are so simple. Like Snapchat has now started adding a whole bunch of stuff, and it's trying to become, so it started with simple.
That's a mistake.
And it's trying to become a much bigger, full-featured thing. I don't know if that's going to work, but so they started with something. The kids found it simple. It took me half an hour to even figure out how to do it.
I agree with you.
But
I had this conversation with my 21-year-old yesterday at breakfast. I said, what apps do you use? I always ask the kids. And he said, the Holy Trinity. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. And I said, but I find Snapchat a little opaque. He said, no, you just do this. I opened it up. I said, well, I said, I can't. He said, well, swipe right. Oh, swipe left. Oh,
yeah.
And I said, how did you understand how to use that? Did somebody must have shown them, right? But because it's not intuitive at all.
Those are anti-dad features.
They are anti-dad features. Plus
he loves it.
Swipe left, swipe came from Tinder. I don't know that.
No, well, Tinder does that, but I think Snapchat predated them. But then he does not do the Snapchat. If you swipe right, he says, oh, don't swipe right. That's just crap. That's people who are doing, this is the new stuff, Snap the stories and then the official stories. He says, no, you always swipe left. Never swipe right.
Yeah.
And so you make an excellent point, Matthew, which is Snapchat is trying to become more mainstream when they're really, the kids like it because it's very simple. You swipe left, you make a joke, you do something. I said, do you type? Say sometimes because they make it really easy. But mostly it's just, and then you want to see what you got. You swipe left, and that's where all your stuff is.
What's interesting? The reason why I think Snapchat's valuation is at 20 billion or whatever is some of what they've been doing has been working. So whether Discover is working or whether sort of becoming a more full-featured media app is working, I don't know. But Snapchat Stories, my teenage daughter started talking about, I'm making this Snapchat story, or I'm looking at someone's Snapchat.
So she is using that.
Like,
interesting.
What are you talking about? I don't even know what it is.
Right.
She is creating stories, which then people look at, multiple photos, video clips, and I think it was earlier this year, one of our writers looked at the kind of traffic those things get. Some individual Snapchat stories were getting 20 million views. Jeez. I think it was during a blizzard in the winter.
Well, I think about, like, some of these make sense. I mentioned this before, but ESPN would just be sports highlights, right? That makes sense. So this is so when you launch Snapchat, it launches like this. You're in the camera, and I can immediately send a message. It's very straightforward. If I swipe this way, he says, swipe to the right. Oh, that's people sending you Snapchats. I said, what?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, people have been sending you messages. Yeah. Oh.
I don't have anything.
And then you swipe this way. These are the stories. And yeah, and then like I have this person. The other thing, I thought I had to hold it down. You just tap it.
They changed that.
Yeah.
That's one of the. So they made it so you don't have to.
You don't have to hold it down. They changed that. So and then here's Snapatunde. Baratunde does stories. He does some fun stuff. But my problem with this is it's gone after a day. So like, why? I spent a lot of energy making stuff that you can download forever. And then these are the big brands. And so you're saying 20 million views in a day?
Of a single Snapchat story.
That's amazing.
This was somebody taking video of a blizzard or something during the New York.
Oh, wait a minute. Yahoo's gone. Yahoo. Katie Couric stopped doing her news, huh?
They were there for 24 hours and then they vanished.
They put BuzzFeed in, I think.
Interesting.
But what's interesting to me is they clearly started with, it's a little like Twitter. They started with something incredibly simple, and they're trying to add more features. So the question becomes, can they do that, or will their sort of core users think, I'm not going to use that Snapchat thing anymore. Right. There's too many features, or there's too much cruft, or there's too much, it doesn't do what I want it to do anymore.
See, I'm enjoying this.
It's interesting to watch messaging. Messaging, you can see sort of emergent behavior. Like I always, like you, I ask my daughters what they're using. My middle daughter uses AIM, and I said,
what?
Who on earth does that even exist anymore? And she says, oh yeah, all my friends and I all use it. And I was like, why? Why on earth would you do that?
Haven't you tried Prodigy?
So many other I said, what about WhatsApp? Why don't you use that? Oh, well, WhatsApp, some of my friends don't want to pay. I said, but you don't have to pay, do you? Well, you have to pay $1.
After a year, you pay.
And then this is actually, I wouldn't have thought that would stop anyone. But AIM is the closest thing they've found to a cross-platform app. They all have it. It's super cheap. It doesn't cost anything. You can install it on everything. The only problem is I think there's no. She was telling me there's no.
Why don't they use Facebook? Feels like Facebook would be the right thing to do.
They don't want to use Facebook.
Why not? They've got stickers. They've got.
She doesn't even want to be on Facebook.
Oh.
And my youngest daughter.
Oh, that's
my
interesting.
Daughter deleted her Facebook account. She doesn't have one.
Wow. People our age are looking for messaging services where we can message everybody. And people your daughter's age are looking for the opposite, for places where they can't be reached by most people other than their tiny group.
Where they can have select groups that they message about specific things.
Oh, so maybe this point that we should have a universal... I brought this up on Twitter, and everybody said the same thing. No, we don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want that. Yeah.
You want your own little niche.
But aren't most of these universal through SMS? Snapchat supports it. Hangout supports it.
Yep.
I mean, you can just if somebody isn't on the messaging service you use, just
right. But let's go back to the problem of email, right? Because email is universal, because it is sender controlled, that's what ruins email. So this is a form of recipient control, is that I go where I know I am, my friends are, nobody else can find me there, and I don't get spammed there.
Actually, speaking of messaging, Twitter just changed the length of DMs. Now you can send limitless DMs.
Oh,
There's no 140 character length.
Yep.
So now DMs can become effectively permission-based email.
Well, that I like.
So it's...
Well, here's what we didn't discuss last week. This is really interesting. So Facebook is introducing this direct message to companies thing, right? And to me, this is as the guy who did Del Hell, it's interesting. The way that customer service now works through Facebook and companies being able to direct message you back and actually deal with things is they're afraid of public humiliation, right?
Yeah.
Michael Arrington says, my cable's not working, and they jump on it. And Frank, who went from Comcast and just announced he's quitting the city, we don't know what's next for him, basically created that structure of being able to deal with that, right? Now, Facebook turns around and says, no. You can directly message a company through Facebook, and we will rate them on whether or not they respond within 90 seconds.
Right.
And so what Facebook, I think, really sells then is the opportunity to avoid public humiliation if you behave well.
Right.
Which I find just fascinating. And I don't know if it's going to work
Twitter,
or not. Companies may
everywhere.
Companies may not respond.
The threat of public humiliation on Twitter is what gets results. Right.
Right. It's public. Yeah.
If you say, "Hey, Air Canada's screwing me," Air Canada's like, "Holy, we better respond."
But this is the genius of Facebook's. This is the genius of Facebook's plan. You get results with their system too, because they have a metric for earning a badge that says highly responsive.
The company avoids humiliation.
Exactly. The companies certainly don't want to be forced to give results.
There's less direct humiliation, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And actually, I've noticed that on Twitter. For a long time, companies responded. Now what they do is call you and say, "Can you stop tweeting?" Yeah. They don't. I've had this with Comcast. At first, it worked. Now they just have somebody from the executive office call and say, "Would you mind not tweeting?"
And then, of course, you tweet, "Hey, they just called me and said don't tweet."
That's immediately what I tweeted. I was stunned.
Just called me.
Yeah.
So Facebook's doing some interesting things around this. There also are unconfirmed reports that they're starting a news application.
Yeah.
Have you guys been watching Ricky Gervais on Facebook?
No, I can't bear it. And you know why? I'll tell you I can't bear it. He's making a mistake. He's too close to his face, which is ugly.
Is it?
See, this is the TV pure. Leo, you're rarely a purist.
He's just an irritating person.
Part of his thing.
I know, but it's irritating.
Listen, remember
he's vlogging on Facebook, right?
This is important. This is important. Ricky Gervais set the tone of podcasts like crazy for media companies, not for you guys, but for media companies. When he did the original podcast,
we're a media company.
Guardian. No, old media companies, old farts. At the Guardian.
Watch this.
He did his original thing.
Do you think this is something you want to have in your life, in your feed? I don't want to have a close-up of his bad teeth in my feed. I'm sorry. I love Ricky Gervais. I loved The Office.
He's experimenting.
Okay,
he's experimenting.
Good for him.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Not that bad.
No, they're not that bad.
For a Brit,
for a British guy, they're pretty good.
No, it scares me because he's got sharpened bicuspids.
Yeah, he does have. It's
a little scary. It's like he's gonna bite you.
I don't know. If he had an appealing personality, I don't think this would be so bad. But he's just irritating.
This works if you're a beautiful woman. I'm afraid it does not work if you're a gentleman of certain abilities.
Have you ever thought that Ricky Gervais and Nick Denton are separated at birth?
Oh God, no. Now that you've said it, though. But what he is doing is Facebook native, which is interesting. He's not getting the engagement that one would hope. Like this,
because it's live. This is the issue. There's a discovery issue. I never have seen him live.
Yeah. Oh, this is live.
Well, but then it's recorded. Yes, but this is experimenting with Facebook Live.
How would you see it live?
You'd get alerted.
It would just show up in your stream.
Oh, Ricky's live. But do I have to like him first?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to like him, and then we'll know when he's live.
But I still haven't seen.
What's sign up mean?
That's weird. You click on that and it goes off to a separate thing.
Sign up?
Yeah,
I know. I've never seen that link with any other celebrity, and it's totally just YouTube. How did he get that link in there?
Oh man, they're giving him special treatment.
Oh yeah.
Aren't they?
Oh yeah.
This is his YouTube page.
This must be an ad.
This is part of a new trend where Facebook, Apple, and Twitter are creating elitist mechanisms and they're destroying the egalitarianism of the social web. They got special tools. This is a social network that you can't fully use unless.
Well, they would say that they're experimenting at this level with a small population that's going to push it, and then because there have been others who've been going after them saying, "When do I get it? When do I get it?" They said, "We're just starting. We're just starting."
I have to judge them on what they're doing rather than what they're saying. And what they're doing right now is they have, just like Apple has Connect, just like Twitter has special features for verified users, they're creating different tools, different powers, different resources for famous people, for powerful people, for elites.
Okay.
And the rest of us.
So sign up takes me to a YouTube page where I'd subscribe to more about this Netflix original he's doing. So look at that. Now, I notice on his Facebook page, there's also a videos link. and if I click it, it takes me to this. Is that a YouTube page or a Facebook page?
That's a Facebook page.
It is a Facebook page.
Looks
It
like
sure
Twitter.
looks like a
YouTube.
YouTube page. Oh, man, does that look like a YouTube page.
So go back to that other link. It really was YouTube.
That really was YouTube, yeah. Unclear.
Now it's
Can you
not.
go back to that?
They do that?
It was Gina Trapani.
Why would Facebook have a sign-up button that
I should
goes to
tell
YouTube?
Gina about it. I bet you, I'm thinking Netflix paid for that. That's an ad, Netflix ad. That sign-up button right there, that's an ad.
It's an ad.
That's an ad.
No, we have that too. Like if you go to...
have that too?
If you go to Tech News Today TV on Facebook, facebook.com/technewstodaytv.
Go away.
I don't know when they rolled this out, but they said you can put a button on your page.
And it goes to YouTube?
That goes wherever you want.
Tech
it goes wherever
News.
you want. Okay.
What is it? Tech News?
Tech News Today TV.
Today.
Oh, I see.
TV.
Okay.
And so...
Yeah, so...
Oops, I got
so
the
you
wrong
can
one.
refer it to wherever you want.
Yeah,
I think I'd know this, by the way.
And so it's kind of like what you can put on the video itself, which is a different feature. And
yeah, because I don't see a subscribe button here. Wait a minute. No, that's the wrong. I'm on the wrong. How do I get there? Tech News Today TV. Did I type it wrong? Oh, you know what? I have to do facebook.com.
Yeah.
/
Yep. Right.
Okay, I was doing it in the search.
And this actually for pages, and for media pages, this is one of the things that's really great about.
But you don't have a subscribe
right there.
Oh, you do. Sign up.
And you click on it.
Now what do I get?
You go to twit.tv.
What the heck? How did that happen?
It's a paid ad. I stole your credit card and I've been paying for this.
Okay, so this is a feature.
That's interesting. Have you guys tried the new Facebook author tag? Very, very familiar from the old Google author tag.
Yeah. No, I haven't.
What?
I haven't heard about it.
So the Facebook author tag, it's like the old Google author tag. It's a line which is now dead. It's a line of JavaScript you put in there. And I gotta explain.
Put in where?
I'm not exactly sure.
Put in where?
Put in your blog.
Yeah, where?
So I put it on Buzz Machine.
Oh, okay, in your blog. Okay.
And then when someone goes from a Facebook link to a Buzz Machine thing and they come back to Facebook, they'll see a byline from me because it shows that they engaged with me. I'm not explaining it well. That's what I heard today.
Have you ever seen this happen?
No, I haven't yet because it's fairly new.
Have you seen it in action? Okay.
No, but it's something we probably should all play with.
We spent a bunch of time integrating with Google's author tag, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we're not doing that anymore." So thanks.
So, okay.
What are we talking about?
I just feel like Facebook is really dominant in everything. Yeah. In fact, I still think Facebook Messenger will become dominant.
And actually, this isn't messaging related, but Facebook and YouTube are going head-to-head on video. And this is going to be a massive, like, Thor and like a whole kind of Norse mythology thing, because Facebook is clearly targeting YouTube in every way possible.
We talked last week ad infinitum about the article on Medium. I'm fed up with your lies and cheating, Facebook. No, that actually is that's a Facebook page. Who was that? It was a Facebook. It was a YouTube creator.
That was Green.
It was Hank Green.
Yeah. I wonder if in the intervening week, Facebook has approached Hank Green and said, what can we do to make this right? They certainly had a response.
Of course they like half an hour after that was published, I'm sure they reached out to him.
They're going after YouTube creators, aren't they?
Definitely. Yeah. They have to be. And they are going to ramp up the monetization, which is what's been missing. Like YouTube.
So here's the question back to the beginning, Matthew. Should Mark Zuckerberg reorganize Facebook the way that Google has? Because Facebook now seems to be a controlling brand, but WhatsApp is gigantic. Instagram is gigantic. Funny goggles will be made fun of on Time Magazine, but will become big. Is Facebook in a similar position? Is Zuckerberg in a similar position to where Larry was?
In a way they are. Aaron Griffith wrote for us a piece very much like that. Facebook should do the same thing. It has become a kind of holding company in a way. Yeah. WhatsApp and Instagram are both huge entities by themselves.
Completely autonomous.
What should its name be?
Oculus Rift is arguably like self-driving cars.
It should be whatever the Chinese equivalent of Alphabet is. Right?
That piece drove me nuts.
Yeah.
What piece are you talking about?
Huffington Post.
There's an argument that because Larry said that alphabets are a key invention of technology that enables everything else,
that it was racist,
politically incorrect to the Chinese. Come on.
That's just dumb.
It is.
It is.
Washington Post went on at length.
Actually,
so it should be called kanji then.
Even the Chinese, I think, are realizing that an ideograph-based language is a liability in the technology era, and that's why everybody in China is learning English.
Yep.
Wow, that was a good conversation. You never know where they're going to come from, do you?
Yeah.
Have we come with a conclusion, though? Do we have any recommendations?
Well, I would like to tack one last thought on the end of that, which is
this is your specialty.
Yeah. Yes, Facebook is going after YouTube, but Facebook is in the same bad position with video that Google is with messaging and social, in that first mover advantage. YouTube has so many advantages. They have the stars, they have the studios, they have the kids, they have all that stuff. And Facebook can bang away at it all they want, but they're barely scratching the surface of genuinely competing with YouTube. And I don't see any reason why they're a threat in any way.
They have a billion users. They have a billion active users.
Google has more eyeballs than Facebook with search and Android and all the rest. And I don't think that helps them dominating. The one thing that Facebook has that really helps them with video is control of their algorithm. So if they want people watching more videos, they just throw a switch on their algorithms and people are going to be watching more videos. They've already done it with self-playing videos.
And that's a huge tool. Well, I mean, it can drive volume to a video unlike anything you've seen.
I'm going to do Facebook Live video as soon as they throw the switch. But that's awesome. And this is, by the way, is coming, right?
Yeah.
I'm verified. You know what I did recently that was stupid? I took my verified profile and made it private. But I'm going to. I'll have. Because I just wanted.
Why did you do that?
Because I wanted Facebook to be just for me.
Oh, you fool!
And you fool! Well, I could go the other way.
Have you tried Snapchat?
I'm no Leo Laporte, but I've actually been thinking about the same thing. Should I have a page, or should it just be for family photos?
I have a Leo Laporte page. You know, a public page.
I have 3 times more followers on Facebook than I do on Twitter. Now I don't know, what the algorithm serves to them any more than I did on Google Plus. But
I have been woefully neglecting my Facebook presence. Clearly.
I've not because of Scoble. I have been digging into Facebook and really, combing it, making it work, and it's a very good experience.
So here's the call to action button. You found it.
Yeah.
I just went to my long neglected Leo Laporte page, journalist.
Call to action. Don't look at my page.
Add a button to get people to take an action from your page. It isn't just, it's book now, contact us, use app, play games, shop now, sign up, or watch video.
You pay for it.
Or
no, you don't.
And then on mobile, you can have a different one.
Wow.
In fact, you can even have a different one on iPhone and Android.
Wow.
That is amazing.
Where do you get to it? How do you get to it?
It's on your page. It's right there.
It has to be for a page, not for a private.
Yeah, create call to action.
Oh,
but my page is not verified. So how do I get that verified so I can stream live from there?
I don't think your page is verified. I think you are.
I'm personally verified.
I think if you allow people to follow you,
then I can do live video.
No. But I think that's what.
Yeah, but no, I'm verified as. I made that.
Yeah, but if you're verified
my personal
in private,
page,
that doesn't work. You got to be verified in public before you can do public things.
Yeah, but I can make this public.
Yeah, make it public.
But my question is, I would like to have my Leo Laporte public page be the verified page, but it's not. So I don't know how to do that. I'll have to look.
I'm not sure.
I don't think you can.
You can't.
No, I don't think you can.
It's like Twitter. You just have to hope that the verified.
No, I don't think pages are verifiable at all.
Only people.
I don't think pages are verified.
Oh, so this is Facebook's way of forcing me.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be public.
Yes.
Oh wow.
It's a good thing, Leo.
Well, let me see if there's any new photos, and if there aren't, I'll make myself public.
Sharing is good, Leo.
Sharing with the world is good.
Sharing is caring.
And is the 45-minute limit still in place for live?
Yes, it for uploaded.
But for live,
I don't know about live.
Live, I don't know.
Could I just stream?
Gervais has had is it keeps cutting off on him.
Yeah.
So my joke today was get this man a net connection or a job because he's sitting there all day on the stairs with the cat.
Well, this is why movie stars are perfectly suited for this because it's not apparent, but they only work a few months a year.
They have nothing to do, right?
They got nothing to do. 90% of the time, they're just home waiting for a script.
Yeah.
They could shoot video all day long. Nobody would.
I'm telling just play a Ricky Gervais video for a second. Listen to him.
All right.
Dude, he did the first one he did was in the bathtub.
Oh, my God.
Just like Robert Scoble.
No, that was a shout.
Yeah,
That was the shout.
All right.
Okay, and by the way, Ricky Gervais uses his personal page for this. Notice he's verified.
That's exactly what it is.
So which one should I? Which one should? Let's go to. Let's go to. Should we do the first one in the bathtub?
I see one from.
That's
okay,
disgusting. All right, video. Well, see, I'm going to go to the faux YouTube thing, and show all of them. Look at all of these. This guy's a busy man. So I guess that I'll do me again.
We're not a busy man.
Let's watch this, everybody.
Me again. What I've done
See, I did like that.
is I've propped up the phone, so I'm hands-free.
It's just a coincidence that his Emmys are in the background.
Look at those canines, though.
Hello,
Seriously.
welcome to another
He's a vampire.
Facebook Live. I'll move my chair.
This view is like the last
I
thing
get my
his
big,
dinner
fat
sees.
face close up. Hello, Mavis. Hi,
He did say fangs, didn't he?
Samantha Campbell. Woo, she says. Jodie Edwards, they're loving it. They're loving it. Stephanie Gentle, hi. Hi. Tune in.
See, he's
Tell your
mocking
friends.
the entire form.
See, I've already sort of built a little studio. Well, actually, what it is I've just propped my thing on some old paints. I don't know, what's it called? Cabinet.
This is riveting content.
I love it. I love it.
Drives me crazy.
Hopefully, I could get one of those wherever I am.
That's the point.
And then
It's so
like,
bad.
I'm in a
Oh,
studio.
what was his name? The comic who did the
Every
stupid
day.
stuff.
At 6. See, I'd never
All
have
of
to
them.
go on a chat show again.
Yeah.
To promote myself.
See, what you just said?
But he's
I actually haven't done like a press interview for years.
undercutting the whole genre.
You guys
Yeah.
on Twitter.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Facebook. And
Don't have to do
It's
press
satire.
interviews.
But let's.
So this is like permanent periscoping.
save it for
This
them.
is Periscope that you as a member of the riffraff are not allowed to use. That's
Well,
what
but
this
here's
is.
the key.
But
But here's
soon-
the opposite. Here's the opposite, Mike. Periscope. You go into Periscope, and it is nothing. It is an unmanageable mountain of video crap. Whereas here, by starting with celebrity, it's kind of brilliant.
Oh no, they're
And
smart.
live stuff here is going to be interesting to watch. Number one. Number two, there's a problem of so you're a verified person, so we know who this is. It's not just somebody who's going to show you his penis. Number two.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
That's exactly what it is. They're not going to have that problem as long as they keep it tightly
So
controlled.
Howard Stern's not going to be invited
Right,
to
so-
do
so
this.
it's-
Although with Ricky Gervais, you don't know for sure.
Right.
You never know.
But my point is it's television minus all the good things about television. It's television in the sense that
Like a
it's
script,
famous
a
people
set.
It's like
sending
private
it to you,
television.
and you're supposed to sit there and watch and buy something. By the way, and
Yeah.
and you don't participate. It's not participative media. This is what they're
people
killing
send
with
them
this kind of
messages.
thing.
People send them messages.
But television never was either.
Let's see.
I could send fan
Let's see.
mail to Gilligan.
So Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is also one of the people involved in this. He actually does some pretty compelling Instagram videos.
Well, he's The Rock.
He's The Rock, and he's apparently at the gym,
Some old paints.
Of course.
clanging and banging. It's in the Iron Paradise. But see, The Rock, yeah, for all his flaws, this is more interesting than Ricky Gervais up close.
Well, that's aspirational, right? People like The Rock.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to be.
Who else?
A giant.
Let's see. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
There's others on this.
nobody wants to be Ricky Gervais.
Serena Williams, Martha Stewart, and Michael Bublé. It's an interesting mix. Here's Serena Williams lying in bed.
No tea, no shade, but
What-
it always
you
cuts
guys
out.
on Twitter. and
She's so rich, she
Facebook
has
and everything.
people as her bed. Oh no, there's.
Now we got Ricky in the background.
I turned off
I
Ricky.
can only talk to you guys for a few seconds before it goes away. So I better talk really fast.
This is
really fast.
this
Really
is-
fast. Oh my god, I'm really having fun. I'm at a photo shoot today, and I'm gonna go out and do a photo shoot, and then after that I'm gonna go to practice, and I didn't make my practice day, but after that I'm gonna go.
By the way, this is what intimidates me about using this stuff is I would actually try to make it polished, interesting, funny.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what she's not going
Supposed to be informal, I
She's
think.
not going to go over the 3 weeks of
I don't wanna go
files
anything
in my
These guys aren't even as good as the most mediocre Vine celebrity. Let's see what Martha Stewart's up to.
I think it's interesting.
Oh
like
my
Facebook-
God, that's terrifying.
Welcome to my official first live broadcast with Facebook.
She's trying to be
First one
professional.
Yeah.
actually
Big mistake, right? This is not the medium.
Big
Right.
mistake.
We're
Yeah.
doing it again. I was thrilled. to
Frankly,
be the first
Serena
one
was
to use
the most
this new
interesting.
tool.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the work that
I think
is
Facebook
doing.
when it comes to
Boring.
YouTube-
Next.
What is she? Where is she in the prison cafeteria? What was that?
So,
Yeah, really.
I'm here
When
in
it comes
my.
to compete with YouTube, though, Facebook
You're such
Facebook
a
has one
pig.
big
Hey, you guys,
strength,
this is
and
my
that's
first
algorithm.
My first live chat with this new Facebook.
Note, by the way,
my
that
wife is killing
Ricky's
me.
the only one who's done more than one.
Lou. Thanks a lot. You know what? She got run away. She got to do hers.
This is a lot like Meerkat and Periscope. This is exactly the experience you'd have.
But you see, remember the discussion last week? This is the kitchen photo in a People magazine story.
Yeah.
This is.
I'm actually with them.
You get to watch the professionals be unprofessional. That's what the sale point is.
I get to see their hallway and their cat.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make my page public and do this.
Well,
to go back to our original point.
Yeah. Unless, well, maybe you're maybe going to start.
What would your counsel?
Were you invited into? Is it Mentions? It's called.
What's Mentions?
That's the celebrity thing. That's the
celebrity video streaming thing. You have to be invited.
That's what's before video. Mentions was there so you could share things all kinds of ways. Mentions is the base of video. Video was added to Mentions.
You have to be in Mentions first.
Like private Twitter. Yeah.
Well,
well, you're public, but it's only for stars. Mentions was a way that stars could more easily communicate with their publics using Facebook and going across platforms. I think this is right. Tell me if I'm wrong, chat room. And then video was just added. Live video was just added.
Exactly, it's a feature of Mentions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm resetting myself.
Leo, I can't believe you didn't get invited.
He doesn't even have a public profile.
That's probably why I'm making it public right now.
Why would they invite him? It's private.
Lost a lot of respect for you already.
I know, and I feel bad. Where do I make it public? Under privacy? Who can see my stuff public? Is that all I have to do?
There's something about people being able to follow you.
Yeah, I used to do that. I turned that off about a month ago. Bad timing, Leo. Because I thought
Leo does that.
Because I thought it'd be fun to be private.
I love that feature though, because if people ask to friend me and I just ignore them, they automatically become followers.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
This is the.
Did you do this when you got mad, Leo?
No, I wasn't mad. No, I thought I'd like to experience Facebook as a normal person, like following friends and family.
Can't do that.
I'm not a normal person.
You have to be a normal person in order to do that.
All right.
So use some other network
I'm going to turn this on, and well, I don't really have a private life, do I? Really? I mean, really. So it was all an illusion, anyway.
Not after that Lederhosen shot.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, that actually is exactly when I turned off the public sharing.
I don't blame you.
It was a bridge too far. Okay, so what else? The attention economy. I don't even want to hear that word anymore, Matthew. Why?
I was going to say, just before we get off Facebook and YouTube, the one thing that Facebook has that it can use as a lever, and it's a pretty big lever, is the control over the algorithm. So, like we were talking about, they can make certain videos show up all the time. They can make sure that people see them. That's a huge bargaining chip. If someone, wants their content to be seen, Facebook can say,
Howard Stern said, I'm going to take my show off serious, and I got to go to YouTube or I'm going to go to Facebook.
He said
that?
No.
Oh.
But
it's as if he said that.
When I called into a show the last time, I yelled at him again. When we went on his podcast rant, I said, you should be owning your own venture. I say this to him every time I call in. He's a wage slave.
It's so obvious that's the case, that he should do that.
His wage is massive.
And the problem is that he says that that doesn't work for all these people, but he's Howard Stern. He should have done it 3 years ago.
Well, here's the issue. I argued 5 years ago when his contract was up, and I've revealed on the show that I actually introduced his people to executives at Google, and it went nowhere. But the problem was the last 6-inch problem wasn't solved.
Oh, wait a minute. When you say last 6-inch and Howard Stern in the same sentence, maybe you better clarify the last 6-inch problem.
From your phone to your car.
Oh, thank God.
Speaker.
By the way, is that still the aspirational Google Fi case that you have on your phone?
Yes, and I haven't.
You still haven't signed up, but you have the case.
No, I've signed up. I have it, but I haven't installed it. I haven't gotten
going.
Once they start charging you.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'm not charged yet. I'll be charged as soon as I start it. But I got to figure out the phones, and that's why I got to figure out the OnePlus versus the Moto X versus should I really instead buy an iPhone so I can test out things that are on the iPhone, which I hate having to do.
Get them all. Do what Leo does. Buy them all.
Yeah. It's only, really, it's only a few $1,000s a month. You know what adds up? Having 2 numbers on each of the 4 carriers. After a while, that adds up.
Yeah.
Well, phone is no good if you can't use it.
True.
Why do you have two numbers on 4 carriers?
Oh, because I don't know why.
Because you have one that's actually your real phone you can really use for life, and the other one is the one that can get messed up?
No, my phone situation is much like a Facebook situation. I don't have a real-life phone.
But don't you just use Google Voice?
Actually,
like
I do.
number?
But Google Fi screws your voice.
How does
That's
it screw your voice?
Because it suddenly you no longer have your voice is converted to Google Fi. Your voice number becomes your actual phone number. You still can have forwarding. So I have forwarding turned on, although I haven't figured out how to add new numbers. It's going to be a challenge.
You need tech support.
I wish there was someone I could ask.
If only. If only.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about before we get to our picks? I'll let you look at the rundown. Yeah, well, this is really what we are talking about, isn't it? The attention economy.
Definitely.
That attention is more important than... Go ahead.
That David Pakman piece that I linked to from Venrock, one of the things he mentions, which I didn't get into, it's a whole separate post, but one of the things he mentions that I think is really true is that messaging and sharing are the most central apps, particularly for millennial users. So whether it's WhatsApp or Kik or Line or Instagram, those are the key ways in which they experience the internet and content, which is why what Snapchat is doing is so important, or why that's why I think Snapchat is doing it. It's trying to leverage the messaging and get into all sorts of other areas of media, but that's where attention is going. So basically what David did was look at where is attention going, not what are the big companies or who's making lots of revenue or what market caps are, but where is our attention going? And when it comes to millennial users, it's mobile and it's messaging.
And YouTube. Yeah. And YouTube. Come on. I mean,
well, okay.
YouTube is huge.
No, you're right. And YouTube. So let's say video streaming and messaging.
Yeah.
But TV and radio, shrinking piece of the pie.
Forget about
radio. Radio dead.
Actually, you want to really look at a bad one. Print newspapers and magazines.
Yeah.
I think I can't even see that line on the.
Go down further. There's a chart where he looks at the things that actually keep going.
This is good. This is a good article. He was at eMusic, right? But now he's a VC.
That's
audience size of media platforms and properties.
Look at the far left.
The far left, which is like through the roof. Facebook, YouTube, Yahoo, Twitch, Riot Games. What?
Exactly.
What's Twitch Riot Games?
It's all esports.
It's a studio. It's not even. It's a subset of Twitch.
It's just games produced by that game studio.
It's Riot Games is a game studio on Twitch. It's not even all of Twitch. Riot Games is bigger than Tumblr, Twitter, Snapchat, the Super Bowl.
Look at the size of that thing. So that's his point, is that some YouTube creators, some Vine creators, they have audiences that are substantially larger than the NBA, Major League Baseball.
PewDiePie, 38 million.
PewDiePie, yeah. 4 billion views.
You know, they're conflating numbers here because YouTube views are not the same thing.
Great. They're not the same as a TV viewer, but that is still a massive number.
I ain't looking that gift horse in the mouth, though.
40 million
really gonna
subscribers.
Sniff at PewDiePie's audience?
Well, which would you rather have, 18 million viewers on NBC or 18 million viewers on YouTube?
NBC, because they can sell ads for a lot more.
Now they can sell ads, but let's see.
Yeah,
exactly.
Advertisers are stupid.
Well, I don't even think 18 million viewers on YouTube means the same thing as 18 million.
Yeah.
Plus, advertisers are wildly stupid. Their ads aren't being watched. They're going to figure it out. Whereas this is also a big thing that Google did this week. Google also cut off certain ways to buy on YouTube. And you can only buy now through Google, and they do the True View thing where your ad is actually really watched, which TV can't give you, and that's going to end up being a very high value. Every media company I know is dying for video for just these reasons.
How much money was spent on the Super Bowl? It's got to be $1 billion. It's going to be some huge amount of money, right?
And
Super Bowl had 114 million viewers. Riot Games, which is League of Legends, had 739 million viewers. Now, admittedly, Super Bowl is 3 hours, and Riot Games is probably a year's worth of viewing. But still, why isn't at least a large segment of that $1 billion going to Riot Games?
Well, part of it, I think, is that the average person who watches the Super Bowl has a better job than the average person who uses.
What is the value of 144 million Riot Games viewers, right, or whatever, 739?
But so part of David's point. Part of David's point and part of my point is
he's talking to our intern who watches Riot Games incessantly. Yeah.
If you look at the gap, right, that gap is going to close. So attention is going elsewhere. And all I'm saying is media companies in particular should be paying more attention to where that attention is going, because that's where the money is going to go eventually. Yeah. Whether it's esports or streaming. And that's, I mean, Facebook sees that. Otherwise, why would they be doing half of this stuff? Yeah. They see Periscope and Vine as the future of video to some extent. Those are the things that are going to determine the platforms of the future.
I guess but I am pointing out that this is quantitative, and there is a qualitative measure that is maybe somewhat different.
Totally. Yeah, but the quality. So I talked again to one of my daughters. She watches Twitch all the time. She's watching people play Minecraft for hours.
Right.
Like, is that as good as the Super Bowl? I don't know, but she's spending hours watching people play games.
Right.
So all I'm saying is there is something there, right?
Yep.
There's something there.
Well, what you want to look at is not what's going to replace television viewing. You want to look at what behaviors are going to change and be able to capture those behaviors. And so what this really, regardless of the quality of this audience, what you're really seeing is that in a new generation, there is a behavioral shift, and that's something that everybody has to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And I think part of what David is saying is it's messaging and sort of interaction and emotion-based consumption, whether it's gaming or streaming video, is what lots of younger viewers want.
The other thing to keep in mind
will they grow out of that?
Well, that's the question. Will they suddenly decide, oh, I think I should watch the Super Bowl instead of watching
you see, okay, so that's the really important question, and it's because that's the one the media pin their hopes on.
Right.
When you get older,
they're just
you'll
kids.
start watching shows. You'll start watching.
When you have
the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Matthew, didn't you use this line? Didn't you use this line? Somebody used this line. I just read it today, where somebody said that you invest in the behavior of youth.
Right.
That was me.
Whereas saying that youth are going to become like their parents, it's the opposite. The parents are going to become like the children.
Right.
And that's where the world is headed here. And so, no, they're not going to grow up and start buying newspapers and buying Time magazine.
For years, newspaper executives said, oh, when they get jobs and have kids, they'll all start subscribing to newspapers.
How many times did we hear that, Matthew? How many times?
To me, the difference, though, is especially if, I think a good example of this is the Super Bowl versus Twitch. Okay, the biggest difference between how people used to watch media, or how older people currently do, and how younger people do, and how people will in the future watch, is that a single show that everybody's watching the exact same thing will be replaced by whether it's 10 media or 1,000 people. Everybody will watch in something different. And that's the biggest change in what's really changing, is that the shared experience is gone, with the exception of maybe Beats One.
But there's still a blockbuster economy.
There are still some shared experiences. I actually just saw a news report on an esports competition that was watched by millions of people, and the winners won something like $18 million. That's to people who like esports and gaming. That is the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That is their shared experience. It was a huge arena full of people.
Yes, but I think if you look, when I was 20 or whatever, there was like 3 channels, and cable was like something that some people had, and so on. And nowadays, even though there are occasional events, and people will also watch the Oscars and the Super Bowl and various things, even the Republican debates. Lots of people are watching that as well. But I think that the really interesting behavior is that the number of individual things, the thing that's diverting eyeballs is everything. It's not one thing that's replacing another thing.
That's a good point. Yes. And one of the first
I also think it's a misnomer to say that on your phone that, oh, look, all this is in the apps, because when I'm gaming versus when I'm communicating versus when I'm getting information, these are entirely different use cases that I happen to use in the same device. And the fact that it occurs in an app or not should not make media companies think we all need our app.
Right.
No, you've got a different use case for somebody playing a game.
And in fact, lots of Facebook content comes through their built-in browser, which is the mobile web. It's not
true.
It comes through an app, but it's effectively the mobile app.
Yep.
Oh, we just missed a live Ricky Gervais combing his cat.
Quick.
You see?
Build a time
It is about
machine.
attention. It's about attention.
We should be paying attention to Ricky Gervais.
Pay attention to Ricky Gervais. If I were Coca-Cola, should I buy ads on the Ricky Gervais live stream?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
You can't, by the way, can you?
Friskies.
You can't.
Can you buy ads?
Yeah.
Can I buy an ad on that?
Facebook
by the way,
will sell you an ad.
Can I just point this out? He posted this yesterday. It has 1.4 million views, 57,000 likes, 4,200 comments.
See?
Okay, I take it. This is a much bigger platform than YouTube.
The algorithm.
But it's got no ads on it.
Well, because don't forget what I said last week.
It will.
Mark doesn't bother with it until it's 1 billion users.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Can I hold up a Coca-Cola can on my
Then he
feed?
monetizes the crap out of it.
All right. Well, if you want to follow me on Facebook, I promise to put lots of stuff up there. I don't want to be famous. I just want your attention, please.
You should pet your cat.
Yeah.
By the way, your cat.
You have cats.
Your dog gets all the star time here on Twit.
Oh, you got to follow Lisa's feed. She's the cat person.
You said that was
the cats are new. The cats are 15 weeks old.
I know.
You know what? They're getting spayed tomorrow. I will pull a Bob Barker.
Oh, you should stream that.
Live stream the cats getting spayed.
I'm going to say you probably shouldn't do that.
But we could do a whole thing about like taking them to the cat hospital, giving them their last meal, and then when they come home, show them limping around.
Make sure not to be too professional.
Right. Shaky cam.
Yeah.
Can you do this with a? You must be able to just do it with your mobile device, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Make sure that your awards are in the background.
My award.
And
I'll put my award in the background. I have a major award, you know.
You could wear some lederhosen if you want.
Ricky Gervais doesn't have lederhosen. You could
I could beat him on that one.
Oh yeah.
You could own that market.
Do we care about Zirtual? What is Zirtual?
Zirtual is a company that's
virtual assistant.
Yeah, it's exactly virtual assistant. But the difference is it's not a sharing economy play. They are employees of Zirtual. They had until they laid them off 400 employees.
Wow, that's pretty big for a company I never heard.
They went from 150 to 400 in 18 months, and they went from outside contractors to employers.
Contractors.
Exactly.
So their secret weapon. It says it's the secret weapon of successful people.
It isn't. They crashed and burned yesterday. They announced that they were laying everybody off and closing the company, and then this morning they announced, never mind that.
Startup.co bought them.
Yeah, exactly. Startup.co.
What is Startup.co?
I don't know.
They couldn't afford an M?
Another thing that's going to run out of money.
Yeah.
I think there was some criticism of Calacanis on this.
Is he an investor?
Was he on board?
He interviewed the CEO a couple of days ago.
Right before they went under.
Yes, yeah.
On This Week in Startups?
Yeah.
He said he had no knowledge.
Yep.
But the CEO probably did.
Burn rate.
Whoa, no wonder this didn't go anywhere.
Exactly.
$750 a month for this virtual assistant.
Yeah, it's a weird model, and I don't get it.
Well, and it sounds like they went from the contractor model to the employee model, and that increased their costs by like an order of magnitude.
Yep.
And then just couldn't keep up.
And they were counting on infusions of cash from investors who said, you know what, I don't think so. And then it was a sudden crash.
But these assistants aren't in your meat space, right? So they can't do my dry cleaning.
Exactly. They cannot do your dry cleaning. They work in their, in
their meat space.
Exactly.
And never the twain shall meet.
That's right.
Let's take a break.
I think someone just put up something on the rundown, which I was being cagey before about Facebook Live.
Oh yes.
Now that it's out, I was being told things on TechCrunch is reporting.
Yeah.
That it will soon be opened up to.
I've been showing this article during the entire conversation.
Oh, I see. I didn't see that. I was being cagey.
Don't be so cagey. Although I thought John Constantine left TechCrunch to get a job with Apple.
But again, journalists and verified profiles. It's another level of.
Oh, me. That's why I just went public.
Right.
Please follow me. If everybody who watches this show goes immediately to facebook.com/. By the way, I can't get Leo Laporte. Somebody has that. So Facebook.com/Leo G. Laporte. That's
How about leolaporte.xyz?
There's another Leo Laporte?
I don't know. They say I can't have it. Maybe they're saving it for me.
What happens when you go there?
Yeah. Sorry, this content isn't available right now.
Oh, well, maybe you can get it.
How could I get it?
Yeah.
Well, ask the nice people at Facebook.
Ask them.
Somebody had it.
Post it
Probably
on
somebody
Twitter.
impersonating me had it, is what it was.
Yeah,
right?
maybe you can get it.
But it wouldn't be verified.
You know the people in press there, right? Don't you?
No, I don't know anybody. I intentionally don't know anybody. If I knew somebody, I'd feel bad when I say bad things about them.
Now?
No, I don't want to know anybody.
Well, then you can ask her to.
I like not knowing anybody. No, Jeff, I know you, and I know Matt, and I know Mike. That's it.
You shouldn't have a public.
Liked one of my comments once.
Did I?
No, Mark Zuckerberg liked
Mark,
one.
he liked one, so he knows you.
So we're pretty tight.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I waved at him last time he was in the office.
I know Robert Scoble. Does that help?
No.
Because everybody knows Robert.
Who doesn't know
Robert knows everybody.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, tips, picks, numbers, and Mike will explain what this massive honking thing is
It's
in
large.
front of him.
It's large.
Wow. Look at that. It's not a laptop.
But an incredible simulation.
It's a tabletop.
It's a
That's
tabletop.
right. It's a table.
Actually, I want to buy one. Once you told me the price, I said, I'll take two.
Yeah. Yep.
This show brought to you by our great friends at ZipRecruiter. If you're if you're not Zirtual and you're hiring, you know that if you're the person who does it, you know that it's really it's a mixed bag. The potential is huge because hiring the right person can make a huge difference at your business. Hiring the wrong person, not so good. But you know what? This is a really good time to be looking for people because people are on vacation. They're not around. There's less competition for the best people in the summertime. So if you're looking for great candidates and you want to make it easy on yourself, ZipRecruiter.com. ZipRecruiter posts to 100+ job boards with just one click. So your posting's out there. It's everywhere. Plus, they have 4 million current resumes on file that they can match you against. So you're going to get instant results. Now, you might say, but Leo, if I post to 100 job boards, I'm going to get so many candidates. How will I handle all the phone calls and the emails? Don't worry. Don't worry. The phone calls, the emails, they flow right into the ZipRecruiter interface where you can screen candidates, rank them, and hire the right person fast. No more calls, no more emails. We got a great email from Dr. Robert Martinez. He's a happy ZipRecruiter user. He said, ZipRecruiter's been great at every level of service. Easy to use, professional. The support has been second to none. We're very selective at choosing our employees, as you should be, Dr. Robert Martinez. It's very clear that ZipRecruiter is as well to offer such great customer service experience. A great customer experience, that's what you need to know. Hire the right one fast. 4 days free. That might even be enough to do the whole thing. Honest, it's fast. ZipRecruiter.com/twig. 400,000 plus businesses, including Twit, use ZipRecruiter. You can try it right now. ZipRecruiter.com/twig. You will love it. 4 days free. We thank them so much for making a great service and being a sponsor on This Week in Google. Who wants to start? Why don't we get Matthew Ingram? He's out at the lake. He's enjoying the skeeters and black flies.
His tool of the week is a canoe.
A paddle. What do you got for us?
I don't have a tool. For
you got nothing.
I have
You have nothing. Do you have a tip for me to get into Facebook's good graces so I can do live video?
I think you should try and lean closer to the camera.
Yeah.
I'm getting my teeth filed. I have a great idea.
You sound like Johnny Ive. Get some aluminium teeth.
I have aluminium teeth. They are very sharp.
And Matthew, whoa! I saw that. Somebody ducked behind me. Do you have anything for us? Actually, Jeff will do a number.
Okay.
Because then we want to save this the best for last. It's cake at the end.
I'll do a report from PageFair and Adobe, the 2015 ad blocking report.
I saw this. Ay, ay, ay.
Estimated loss of global revenue due to blocked advertising during 2015 was, well, we're not over 2015 yet, but anyway, $21.8 billion.
I don't buy it.
Yep.
Well,
no.
How would you measure it?
Oh, they have the methodology here.
This is like how much money the movie industry lost from pirated downloads. I don't think they would earn.
Well, one thing they do know, and this is, I think, telling, is that there's been a 41% increase in using ad blockers.
Yes.
11% in the United States. The #1 state for ad blockers is Oregon.
Figures.
You know, we talked about this on Tech News today, and we heard from some very savvy users who said, you know what, the elephant in the living room is that ad blocking software is being used as a protection from security
for malware.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's all about JavaScript.
Yes,
right. And I understand that. I do.
And actually,
it's also about slow loading pages.
Yes,
a lot of garbage.
Yeah,
it's and you know, I'm thinking about this, writing a column about this. Now that I have to write one, is that, so help me out here. I think that advertising itself as a form is getting worse and worse and worse. Right, the form, because it's getting more desperate to trick us. And I'm not a fan of native advertising. I think that you know, headlines that aim to say this will change your life. Lots of ways to try to fool us, and it's and bad pop-ups and all kinds of things. It's becoming more and more and more desperate. And so, yeah, we kind of deserve the ad blocking.
But wait a minute, I got to point out that ad blocking will give you more native advertising.
Well, that's one way to try to,
because it doesn't get blocked. It'll give you more product placement. It'll give you more of the kinds of sneaky ads that can get around ad blockers. So,
Matthew, funny you should ask. One answer is if you go to YouTube and you start an ad there and you don't watch it, in TrueView, the advertiser doesn't pay. So what is the advertiser motivated to do?
Make a good ad.
Really clever, amazing ads.
Yeah.
What is the second motivation? Is to give me relevance, right? Don't just show me billboards of things that I don't want to buy baby carriages. I have no reason I hope to buy baby carriages. You know, so don't show me that stuff. Advertising has gotten worse and worse, more desperate, more desperate. If they're just like I argue that we in the content side and journalism side have to go to higher quality, not to crap in the future. So does the advertising side, and we've got to help them figure it out. So anyway,
although I was just Marco Arment wrote something about
the guy who
this
created a service that blocks out ads. Let's note very quickly,
which a number of people have pointed out.
Yes.
But his point was very similar, that the ads are bad, JavaScript is bad, pages take a long time to load. This is normal behavior on the part of users to sort of claw back some of the time that they're losing to crap web pages and to things that don't load properly. And so his response was, well, the alternative is you can charge people directly, or you can use native advertising. And I think there were a number of places that, like publishers, who responded, well, we would love to do that, but you can't make a business. Not everyone can make a business out of charging people directly. And even some people who could do that, maybe they don't want to do that. Advertising is the only thing they have available.
There isn't enough money from that red lines journalism. It's only for the rich who can afford it. It limits the audience. It limits the growth. I'm not a paywall fan. Never. You know, I'll say my books happily, but paywalls are not the answer, and native advertising is not the answer either. Relevance and quality are going to be the only answers.
So then we just have to wait for advertising to get better.
I think that
we've got to help them get better. That's the problem. We've got to take that on. Even in a journalism school, I'm now seeing that I've got to take on advertising. That's going to be controversial. Why would you help advertisers? It's not like a journalism school teaching flax, which we don't do and I don't want to do. But it does say that if we're going to still get support from advertising, we've got to help improve the efficacy of that advertising.
I think the solution is similar to spam filtering and filtering in email. Basically, I'd love to see a granular blocking of ads where the default is that you're shown ads. You can also go in and say, I don't want ads to do this. I don't want ads to do that. I don't want ads that drop cookie, whatever it is. And then you can also go in and say, when you see a baby carriage ad, you can say, I don't want anything in this category. And so you can choose to see ads that are relevant to you, that are interesting, that aren't exploitative, that don't,
Isn't that
act
what
like
Facebook
malware.
does?
No, Facebook has terrible ads, completely non-contextual.
But they do give you some control over what you see and what you don't.
They do,
and they hide this, or I'm not interested in this.
Right, and Facebook is trying to be the alternative internet, but on the actual internet, it would be great for the ad blocking companies to figure out some way to do something other than get rid of all ads.
Well, they do that.
All ads.
AdBlock Plus
has
a policy if you aren't an annoying ad, and you can also pay them.
Yeah,
if you can also pay, exactly.
If you'd like. And I think that's still the #1 used ad blocker.
Yeah, we need a lot more granularity, though. I mean, it's just...
My fear is that ad blocking is basically helping Facebook. So ad blocking is going to get rid of lots of the sort of low-hanging junk in ads, and Facebook is going to be the one that benefits. And that, in turn, is going to convince more media companies to do deals like instant articles with Facebook.
I think one solution would be to honor do not track. I think responsible companies will do that. To stop using flash ads, because that's how the malware gets spread.
Let's just get rid of flash.
Let's get rid of flash ads. And maybe limit a little bit the amount of scripting that's going on in ads. I don't know. There's a great extension. I'll make this my pick of the week, called Privacy Badger.
Yep.
That the EFF has put out, and you got to trust them, and it will show you trackers on pages and give you a slider that will let you block cookies or completely block a domain.
But let's note again that #1, cookies are not necessarily evil in tracking, and I would argue two things. One is that they are a way to, in fact, get higher relevance in advertising and less repetition in advertising and less irritation. And #2, they're important to supporting media. And if you killed cookies and got rid of them, you're going to kill the content that comes of value to you. So believe the figure of $21.8 billion or not, the direction is still the same. If you don't want everything to become behind a paywall, then we're going to have to support on advertising. We have to figure out advertising. And just saying that all advertising is bad and all tracking that makes advertising work economically is evil and bad is infantile and damaging. I love the EFF. I love the EFF for 99.8% of their work, but this is, I think, going a bit too far.
But it's pressuring the ad company to do exactly what you're saying that they should do. You know, it's serious pressure when, you know, this thing is growing. The ad blocking and things like Privacy Badger are the screws that we have that we can turn to force them to.
That's a negative way to do it. A more positive way to do it is to say, here's how advertising could work positively and decently, and instead. What you created is a huge population, up to 1/3 of the world, that's now blocking all ads. Make them operate well. They're not going to see. Nobody's going to see it, and places are going to die as a result. Media properties are going to die.
I think they're not going to respond to good ideas. They're only going to respond to. They're only going to respond to being squeezed and incentives.
No, that's cynical. In fact, your own company right there, right? Leo doesn't take crappy ads. Leo takes ads that he believes in. He does them in a certain way. There are things he will and won't do. And advertisers want to be associated with that because it is seen by this very audience as a quality relationships. And there's a trust with those advertisers. And I have an affectionate spot in my heart for Harry's and Casper and Ford should come back, and those places because they have a relationship.
But that doesn't. My model doesn't work for a lot of media, including websites.
Yeah,
you can't do what I do on websites.
Right. The punch the monkey people aren't going to be persuaded by that.
You can do it, but it's called native advertising. I mean, that's I think if you really want to make advertising better for media companies, native advertising is one way to do it. If it's good content, then it works. If it's bad content, it doesn't work.
I think really good content would be live streaming videos from me on my Facebook page. So if you all go...
Close to your teeth. I want to see your teeth.
By the way, good news. If you turn off followers but then turn it back on, you don't lose all the followers you had. So I have 227,000 followers still.
Nice.
Even though I just turned it on.
Huh.
So if you want to see more of me in Lederhosen, here's your chance. I can't.
Better in than not.
Yeah. In the Lederhosen. You bet. Yeah, we had this conversation. I've recused myself on the conversation you just had because I have very strong opinions, but I've expressed them on security now.
But it was your tool.
Where Steve and I just talk about this. Yeah. One of the things Privacy Badger does is a little different is they actually are trying to block advertisers and advertising tools that don't follow, do not track.
Right.
So if you want to be, so instead of just blocking all ads, they block ads from advertisers who say, we're not going to honor the request of a user not to track.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe a good way to do it.
Let's
do we need to track?
This whole tracking is bad.
It doesn't bother me, but
yes, you do. You do for a couple of reasons. Number one, you need a very simple level for. Sorry, I'm turning orange now. What color is Jeff going to be now?
It's the sun setting, and it's
I know it is. Yeah. It looks like I'm the sun turning orange.
Sunset Jeff.
So one is frequency caps. Right, by putting cookies on, you get to know who has this person seen this ad, or we're throwing our money away.
And that's actually very useful. Most advertisers want that. We certainly do that on our shows here. That's one of the things. There's this thought, and I think it's probably true, that there's an ideal number of impressions. That not too few impressions, nobody's going to act on an ad. Too many, nobody's going to see the ad. You want to get 5, 6 impressions, and that's it. The rest is wasted money.
Right, and the second is going to be some measure of relevance. Now, relevance taken to its stupid extreme, we see right now, which is so-called retargeting advertising. You go to Amazon, you look at boots, those boots follow you around every place you go on the web for a month. What that says is the data point about your interest in boots beats any value of being in media next to context, and it commodifies media down to a 0 value. So that's the kind of stupid, and by the way, once you bought the boots, it still keeps trying to sell you the same boots you bought. It's stupid. It's stupid, right? But that's where advertising value is going to go, and media are going to lose. We've lost that already, and so the only way we're going to fight back is by coming up with means to have relevance and value to people. Now that means we've got to have better advertising, lots of other things. But the only way we can know you as an individual is if we know you as an individual. And that's otherwise known as tracking.
Yeah.
And we've demonized this idea of tracking. What do they know? To the point that just having a relationship with someone. So my argument constantly is that media have to follow the example of Google and get to know you as an individual and not see you as an anonymous, faceless mass, because that's the insult that media has given us for the last century. And now it can change. And I'm tired. I want to go get a pizza. Sorry about that.
Your pick of the week, Mr. Mike Elgin.
It's called a BAT.
Big ass tablet.
Yeah, that's right. And here it is,
We've
folks.
seen these before running Windows.
Yes. This one
You've heard
is a
of
Chromebook. This is the Acer Chromebase Touch. Yeah, this also.
How big is that?
It's 21.5 inches the screen,
like
and then it's got a pretty good bezel. So it's
like a TV.
It's quite large.
Yeah.
And
how heavy is that?
It's, I don't know. That's the second
Does it feel
time.
heavy?
Yeah, it's like.
Well, let me look it up on here.
9 pounds.
It's Asus?
Asus. I'm sorry, it's Acer. Acer Chromebase Touch. The Acer Chromebase Touch costs. Here's the best part. It costs $429.99.
See, that makes it attractive.
Has 10 points of touch. The non-touch version costs $329.99. But again, this is like a Chromebook. This runs Chromium, Chrome OS. And it's just it's a kind of a slow performing thing. But one of the great things about it is...
it's not real fast?
It is not. Even with a direct Ethernet connection on a very fast internet connection, it's still kind of pokey. But
Tegra K1 in there,
yeah,
which is not a bad processor, but that's a lot of pixels.
Is it 2 or 4, Mike?
2 or 4 what?
RAM.
It's 4 gigs of RAM.
Oh, nice.
That's better. Yeah.
And 16 gigs of storage.
Yeah.
And it comes with a complimentary 100 gigs of Google Drive storage,
right? Which
is nice.
Which most Chromebooks do.
Yeah. And it comes with keyboard and mouse, which you can use, and I'm using the virtual keyboard right now, which pops up when you go to do something like this. But it goes down to like almost a drafting table for touch, which is great, and then it goes up to like a monitor.
12.5 pounds.
Yep.
Yeah, it's part of the fitness plan. And it's it's 178-degree viewing angle. It's got a 1080p screen. The screen isn't great.
Yeah, well, for instance, from over here, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a disadvantage. Although this is the kind of thing multiple people might be using it, right?
Yes, it might.
I'd use it for breakfast.
Yeah.
As a tray.
Yes.
Put the cereal, the eggs on it, bring it. Yeah.
It'd be great. It'd be great for that, although it's 12 pounds. So, but it's a nice, the construction couldn't feel more solid. I mean, just feels incredibly solid.
And it comes with the keyboard?
Comes with the keyboard and mouse. And I normally use it with a keyboard and mouse, but for the show, I'm just using touch. It's flexible that way. It is not a mobile device. This is not a mobile tablet. So carrying it around is a bit clunky and awkward. So it's not designed to be carried around.
Well, I just returned the review unit of the Chromebook Flip that I had, which I did open up on the show. I never reported back. It turned out to be really slow.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
And as I did think I said on the show, that size screen, Chrome is not built for touch yet.
Yeah. So
the things you have to click on if you do touch only don't work so well. But that size screen, the touch should work okay, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so a lot of people, you know, I'm recommending more and more that people have multiple displays for different reasons. And using a Chromebook or Chromebase or some Chrome OS-based device is very secure for email and web browsing. You want to go ahead and be tracked but not get malware and not have the phishing attacks and all that kind of stuff. Then do email and most of your web browsing on a Chromebook or Chromebase, and this is a great way to do that. And then if you have to have another device,
that's a good idea.
For other things. Yeah.
This could be like the banking terminal.
They're so cheap
in your
now.
house.
They're so inexpensive that there's no reason not to do this. This supports the Visa mounting interface standard, so you can mount it on
put it on the wall,
boom or whatever on the wall, whatever.
This is the return of the kitchen computer.
Exactly. So at $430, I don't see any reason why anybody wouldn't want to get this for the kitchen, for just have it around the house, to have on your desk, get 2 of them, get one for the kids. It's a Chromebook, or it's a giant Chromebook that supports touch. And
I see a Bob's couch soon set up with this built in.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Wouldn't that be great?
Ooh. It would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's got to be. It's not a lap. You can't lap this.
You cannot.
This is a table or a wall.
It will
mount.
crush your lap.
If it's got a Visa mount, that's kind of cool. You could, for twice as much as the actual cost of the computer, have an arm, and articulating arm on it.
One use case, you put this on your desk at home, and you have another one at work, and you don't carry anything back and forth from home to work. You just sit down, and all your stuff is there. It's in the cloud.
Yeah.
And you can do, nowadays, as we've discussed on the show multiple times with Chromebooks, you can do everything, just about.
I'm very
on this kind of device.
I've completely, as everybody knows, changed my tune on these things. I really like Chromebooks. I love the Pixel,
and they give you enormous.
I wish this again. We need a Pixel version of this, right? A high-end version.
Yeah. It would be $2,000.
Okay, so here's all right. Now that Google is off on its own, Sundar did Chrome, did Android.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Chrome browser, I'm sure, is safe?
Oh,
think they'll ever make another Pixel?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, just for Google employees, and Alphabet employees to use.
I hope so.
Somebody suggests this would be a great bathroom computer, although mounted on the wall, but don't get the touch. Don't get the touch version.
Yeah.
Hey, is there a camera on it? Is it a decent camera?
Yeah, there's a camera.
Could I do my Facebook live stream?
You could, yes. You get a cat. and go to the
Bigglesworth.
Go to the orthodontist and have your teeth ruined. I think you're going to go places, kid.
It's interesting. It has 10-point touch because that's expensive. That's probably one of the reasons why it is so expensive.
Yeah.
Nice pick.
Yeah.
Very nice. I think we should wrap this up now, since on a high note, because anything I say might be depressing. Hey, Matthew, thank you for joining us from the lake. God, you could have been fishing, swimming, kayaking, canoeing, hiking, making back bacon on the campfire.
I'm going to get one of those tablet things. I'm going to take it out in the kayak.
Great to have you. As always, fortune.com, at Matthew I on the Twitter. 1 T in the Matthew, though. That might throw you. So just 1 T, Matthew I. And Instagram, too. I don't know where I see your pictures, but some beautiful pictures of sunset on the lake from the canoe, your lovely wife. It's just, congratulations. This is your 28th?
28th, yeah.
28th anniversary. Very nice. Thank you, Matthew.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you. Jeff Jarvis, thank you to your kids.
Yes, for putting up with me wanting to be on the show today. But this was an important week. It's always an important week on Twig. But
you were scheduled to pick them at the airport.
It was all kinds of logistical things, and they moved mountains and got here back in time to move themselves, and so I thank them. And I should plug that as of today, I started a new media column in the New York Observer, which is called Observer.com.
What's it called?
So, I don't know if they gave it a name or not. I actually don't know.
So you're back to you're becoming an ink stain rich once again.
Well, I had to admit that I wrote to the editor, who was nice enough to ask me to do this, and I thought about it for a while, and I said, I'm editorially feral. I don't deal well with editors anymore. you sure you want me? And he said, well, I'm a light touch. And so there it is. So under innovation at the Observer, I argued that we have too many journalists. But I don't really mean it. You'll see what I mean.
You know what? This is this looks like a nice. I don't know much about the Observer. What's the?
The Observer's been a really, really neat publication in New York for, oh God, I don't know, 25 years now.
Was it a print paper?
Oh yeah. It still is. It was salmon color for many years.
Right. But they also have an online site called Observer.com.
Oh, yeah.
Looks quite good.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to add this to my regular visits. This looks great. No paywall, huh?
Nope.
Nice. Are you in the internet culture section?
I'm in the innovation section.
Innovation, but then there's subheads.
Media, I guess under media.
Under media, internet innovation, media. That'd be a good place to put you.
It's amid constant layoffs, journalists should stop parodying each other. That's the headline. There it is. There it is. Yes. So
a
little plugola.
That is a great picture at the Evening Standard in 1975. You and Matthew remembered days like that. Typewriters, telephones with dials.
Pneumatic tubes.
Pneumatic tubes.
Bring back pneumatic tubes.
I love those things. They were great.
I remember when they were copy boys.
No, I used to love being able to scream, copy!
Copy! They come, they get it, you rip it out of the typewriter, they bring it down to typesetting.
They still say that at the Huffington Post.
Do they? No.
We usually see an article on another site, and they're like, copy.
Oh, no. There you go.
It means something different
Can't beat Mike. Can't beat Mike's closers.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Mike Elgin. He's the news director here. You see him Monday through Friday. Tech News Today, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 1700 UTC for your daily dose of tech news. Are you still going to do the Google Plus stuff? You might as well. What the hell?
Sure.
It's
I
nice
love it.
there.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Sunjar's going to keep it going.
Yeah. No ads.
Larry loves it. No ads.
Great community. Very passionate.
It is a good community. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's good. In fact, let's just pretend it's dead and continue to use it.
There are actually a lot of people on Google Plus who want everybody to know that it's dead, so they won't come.
Yeah, go away.
Leave us alone. Leo's lower third is still our lower thirds are still Google Plus first.
Yeah. I never really got much of a following there, but it's okay.
Bitter.
Thanks for joining us. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern Time, 20:30 UTC, live.twit.tv, or get it on demand after the fact, anywhere finer podcasts are aggregated, including twit.tv/twig and youtube.com/This Week in Google. I'm Leo Laporte. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Twig. Bye-bye, everybody.